Today's edition of the Equine Forum has been pre-recorded. Please excuse any references to horses who may have scratched from today's races.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Gunrunner by the 8th pole. Stanford battles on. Breaking Lucky does to his honorable duty and Hawakam down inside, but there's 100 yards left. And Gunrunner with gusto in the Stephen Foster.
But Rachel Alexandra is sticking her tongue out at the rivals, and she's coming now, clear by 6 lengths, a 16th from the wire. She's right, royal and regal. The Queen of Churchill Downs, Rachel, is back.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
March to the arches, slicing through the pack. Hot Springs down the center of the course with admission office. Deep inside the final furlong. Parlor strikes the lead. All Right squeezes through down inside. On the outside, March to the arch. Admission office, driving finish. Here's the wire. March to the arch got up to do it.
Silent Poet is back. Silent Poet dashing on. Down the outside, Admiralty Pier with a launch from last position. Silent Poet in front. Admiralty Pier coming at the rate of knots as well. Silent Poet in front. Admiralty Pier out the ground, but Silent Poet has won the Highlander Stakes.
Now, here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everybody. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you with me on the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum, and it is all presented by TwinSpires right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Mike Penna, happy to have you along for the ride, guys, and this is going to be a good one. With you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, our affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Are you the type of racing fan that really loves star power on big weekends? Or how about maybe lucrative greatest stakes races with Breeders' Cup bids on the line? If the answer to either of those questions is yes, you are going to love today's racing action at Churchill Downs and at Woodbine. Churchill is wrapping up the spring meet this weekend with 6 stakes races this afternoon. 4 of those are graded, including the Win and You're In Fleur-de-Lis and the Stephen Foster, followed by 5 more stakes races on tomorrow's card. Now, among the stars that we're going to see under the TwinSpires later today are reigning Horse of the Year Thorpedo Anna, who is looking to get back to her winning ways in the Fleur-de-Lis, and then Kentucky Derby winner Mystik Dan, looking to get back-to-back victories for the first time in his career as he takes on a stacked field, which includes the likes of Breeders' Cup Classic winner Sierra Leone, who is, by the way, the morning line favorite in today's Stephen Foster, Dubai World Cup winner Hit Show, and Grade 1 winner Mindframe. It is a loaded field in this year's Stephen Foster. Ken McPeek referred to it earlier in the week as maybe the race of the year, at least to this point. And there have been some good ones, but difficult to argue with that logic when you look at some of the star power in there. You're going to hear from Ken McPeek in just a few minutes, 8:15 Eastern. He will join me to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup and talk about Thorpedo Anna, talk about Mystik Dan. Thorpedo Anna is really the one, I think, that Kenny is probably feeling the most pressure with. Her effort last time out when she finished 7th was just abysmal. And it, from those of us on the outside looking in, yes, there was trouble for her. She got bounced around in the first turn. But she had shown so much ability prior to that. And she had looked to be so much better than the rest of the competition. It still is mind-boggling to think that she would run so poorly, even with all of those things that went against her early on. So I'll ask Kenny, what went wrong in that last race for Thorpedo Anna? You're also going to hear from Florent Geroux. He'll join me 9 o'clock Eastern. He's the man who will be aboard the Dubai World Cup winner Hit Show in today's Stephen Foster for trainer Brad Cox, so stay tuned for that interview. Woodbine week, for those of you who have been joining us all week long, and I hope it's each and every one of you, you've enjoyed Woodbine week here on HRN. It is the first of 5 Woodbine weeks we are celebrating on the network this summer and fall. And each of our Woodbine weeks is designed to lead up to a big day at Woodbine. And today certainly is a big day of racing north of the border. It's Canada Day this coming week, and this is the Canada Day Racing Festival featuring 5 greatest stakes on this Saturday program. You have the Highlander, the Nassau, the Saline, the Marine, and the Dominion Day. Woodbine handicapper Jeff Bratt walked through the stakes races with Bobby Newman earlier this week, and you're going to hear that conversation coming your way at 8:35 Eastern, so he'll get you ready to bet the races. And then Kevin Attard, the reigning champion trainer in Canada, is represented by 4 horses in those stakes later today. 1 in the Marine, 2 in the Dominion Day, and last year's King's Plate heroine, Caitlin Her Greatness, in the Grade 2 Nassau. Kevin will join me 9:40 Eastern. Kevin's riding quite a high, too. He snapped Mark Cassie's 13-year streak as champion trainer in Canada when he won the Sovereign Award this past season. It wasn't easy. He did it by a single vote, 135 to 134. Doesn't get any tighter than that. But you only have to be one better than the guy next to you. And he topped a dual Hall of Famer to get that honor last year. So looking forward to visiting with Kevin later in the second hour of the program. Also going to spend some time looking ahead to the Fasig-Tipton July Sale with Boyd Browning Jr., the president of Fasig-Tipton. He'll be here 9:20. Fasig-Tipton announcing this week a new incentive, a bonus, if you will, for trainers who are buying horses at their upcoming July sale. The trainer who purchases the most horses at the sale is going to get a $25,000 bonus. You don't hear about this very often. It's an innovative concept. We'll see how it works, if it has any impact at all, if it moves the needle at all with this sale. But I'll ask Boyd what went into the planning process behind making that decision, what he hopes will come out of it when we get to July 8th. Poll question this morning involves Churchill Downs and Stephen Foster Day. Which morning line favorite do you trust most to deliver a winning effort later today at Churchill Downs? Is it Thorpedo Anna in the Florida Lee? She's a massive favorite, 3-5 on the morning line. Is it Booth in the Kelly's Landing? Mercante in the Wise Dan? Or Sierra Leone in the Stephen Foster? Which of those 4 do you trust most to deliver a winning effort today at Churchill Downs? I want to say Thorpedo Anna. You would think that she's going to be the favorite in the voting here. But when you really dive into her resume, she's only lost 3 times. 2 of those 3 losses have come beneath the TwinSpires at Churchill Downs. I don't know if there's anything to that. Read into it what you like. But if you're going to say Thorpedo Anna is the one you trust the most, probably the right answer. But there are some question marks and things that even the horse of the year still has to answer. So is it Thorpedo Anna, Booth, Mercante, or Sierra Leone? You can go to @HRRN on our X page to cast your vote there. You can also weigh in on the poll question, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. And if you don't do social media, email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your thoughts. Well, as awesome as the racing is going to be this weekend, and as big of a headline as that really is, I think all the headlines in racing this past week were trumped on Sunday when the news broke that Hall of Fame trainer D. Wayne Lukas was going to be stepping down from training, not returning to racing. He was hospitalized and would not return. The 89-year-old has been battling a severe infection that's worsened his condition, and all of his horses have been transferred to his longtime assistant, Sebastian Nickel, who goes by Bass. Going to spend time talking about the coach with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin later in the program, so you won't want to miss that. But you look at D. Wayne Lukas's career and his impact on the sport. Inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1999, Wayne ranks 6th all-time in earnings with $300 million plus in career earnings. His 4,953 career victories is 9th on the all-time wins list. He's saddled 15 winners of Triple Crown races, 4 Kentucky Derbies, 7 Preakness wins, and 4 Belmont Stakes winners. And he's won a Breeders' Cup race on 20 different occasions. but his impact goes far beyond the racetrack. What Wayne Lukas did when he came over from quarter horses really did revolutionize the sport of thoroughbred racing and the way that horses were being trained. And then when he started having all of that success, and then that wonderful long-time relationship with William T. Young at Overbrook and the success that they had together, so many owners that supported Wayne over the years, and rightfully so. An incredible career, and now it's in the hands of his longtime assistant. Time now to check in with Lee Delapina for this week's Impossible Trivia question. Lee, what do you got for us this week?
All right, thanks, Mike. Since it's Woodbine week here at HRRN, here's a Impossible Trivia question related to Woodbine. In what year was the Arlington Million run at Woodbine Racetrack? And who was the winner that year? Maybe not that impossible, but don't Google it. We'll give out the answer at the end of the show.
That's a good one. I remember talking about that very topic when we were just starting HRRN back in 2005. And in 2006, we made our first trip for a broadcast outside the state of Kentucky when we went to Arlington Park. I remember Dave Zenner and Dan Leary, who was working there at that time, was such an integral part of saying, yeah, you know what? I know that we don't know who the hell Horse Racing Radio Network is. Nobody did at that time. He said, but yeah, come on up. We'll give you a shot. You can broadcast our races. And we went up and broadcast the Arlington Million, and it was a very special day. But I remember talking about that very topic on that broadcast all those years ago because it was such a significant part of the history of the race. And as Lee just said, no Googling. See if you can come up with it. I remember the year, trying to remember the name of the horse right now. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that question. The answer comes your way at the end of the show, right around 10:55 Eastern. Okay, here's the full guest lineup for you this morning. Going down the road to the Breeders' Cup with Ken McPeek, coming up in just a few minutes, right around 8:15. Jeff Bratt caught up with Bobby Newman earlier this week to handicap the big races at Woodbine later today. You'll hear that interview right around 8:35. 9 o'clock Eastern, it is jockey Florent Geroux talking about being aboard Hit Show in today's Stephen Foster. Boyd Browning Jr., president of Fasig-Tipton, looks ahead to their July sale. Kevin Attard will join me at 9:40 Eastern to walk through his horses set to compete later this afternoon north of the border. 10 o'clock Eastern begins Hour 3, and it kicks off with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe Kristufek will be here to give you 3 races to watch this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, and at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. All of that ahead on what promises to be a busy, very full morning here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
This is Woodbine Week on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live racing for the 25-day Ellis Park meeting begins Thursday, July 3rd and runs through Saturday, August 24th, with a record $4 million in stakes purses led by 7 stakes across Kentucky Downs preview weekend on August 2nd and 3rd, and 6 stakes on Sunday, August 10th, featuring the $300,000 Ellis Park Derby and the $200,000 Groupie Doll. Connections with Kentucky-bred horses will be competing for $100,000 maiden special weight purses and allowances up to $108,000, and horse players will have plenty of action throughout the summer. For a full list of events, visit EllisParkOwensboroGaming.com.
Scott Mallory is offering a trio of exciting prospects at the Fasig-Tipton July Sale of selected yearlings on July 8th. Hip 11 out of a young Blame mare by freshman sire Mo Donegal, a son of super sire Uncle Mo. Hip 55 out of a winner-producing Animal Kingdom mare by Grade 1 winning freshman sire Drain the Clock, whose weanlings averaged 5 times the stud fee. And Hip 89, out of a multiple stakes winning mare by exciting multiple Grade 1 winning freshman sire, Cyberknife, who set a new track record in the Haskell. Visit the Scott Mallory consignment in Barn 8 at Fasig-Tipton July.
When it's time to paint the fences and barns, think Farm Paint. At Farm Paint, you get the industry's best coatings and paints factory direct at low, low prices. Farm Paint is your source for quality paints, roof coatings, dustless arena footings, and more. You can purchase online or drop into a Farm Paint store near you with locations in Heart of Bluegrass Country at 700 Phillips Lane in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and Sandusky, Ohio. Buy factory direct and save at farmpaint.com. That's farmpaint.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
With a 16th to go, Thorpedo Anna is now asked to finish, and she will, wherever you may be, give a warm round of applause for the horse of the year, the champion, Thorpedo Anna. She's a class act, and she adds another Grade 1 win to the resume. Thorpedo Anna, an Apple Blossom champion. The Derby winner's in front with a furlong to go. Mystik Dan, the leader, furlong to hold it. Hall of Fame's trying hard. Vanishing's flattened out an antiquarian, but it's Mystik Dan first beneath the TwinSpires once again. Mystik Dan, no need for the photo. The clear-cut winner, Mystik Dan, back in the winner's circle at Churchill Downs.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. A couple of fantastic race calls there. Thorpedo Anna with her victory 2 starts ago. Mystik Dan coming out of a win in the Blame Stakes at Churchill Downs. Who would have thought it would be Mystik Dan coming into the Stephen Foster program off of a win and not Thorpedo Anna? She's been so dominant throughout so much of her career. She gave trainer Ken McPeek his first Breeders' Cup victory last year when she won the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and I couldn't think of anybody better to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup with this morning, considering the fact that Thorpedo Anna and Mystik Dan are both back in action here on Saturday afternoon. Then the man himself, Ken McPeek. Ken, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
So, Thorpedo Anna, let's start with the horse of the year. Last time out, she was not the Thorpedo Anna we've all come to know and love. What went wrong, my friend?
Well, she got mugged in that first turn. I mean, the 5-horse dropped in on over in onto her. She was in position and basically ran her into Darth Vader. Darth Vader ran into the rail and then came back into us with her hind end. And Johnny Velasquez and I talked post-race, and, what was your take on? And he claimed foul against Rosario on the race, but the stewards don't do anything about those kind of things, and that was the only way they were going to beat her. From my viewpoint, they somewhat beat her up, and I don't know if she had the breath knocked out of her, but she kind of rebounded mad after the infraction there, and then subsequently just didn't finish. And we were all scratching our head, but look, it's a humbling business, and sometimes you get punched in the mouth when you don't expect it, and you got to just get back up and deal with it, and that's what we're going to do.
I was talking about this earlier. I think what made it so shocking to most racing fans, not necessarily the fact that she finished 7th and was well beaten that day, but the fact, Kenny, that she had been so good and so dominant over her previous starts that we didn't think anything could stop her, even an incident like that in the stretch. But it just shows you that these horses are not machines.
They're fragile. I mean, she's not that big of a horse, and I do think that the bumper cars contributed to all that, and she didn't show any signs otherwise of anything wrong, but she's trained like the professional she is since then, and we're going to go into this thinking we're going to get back to where we were, and if she does, great, and if she doesn't, then we'll be surprised again, but we'll see. I mean, look, she's got to go out there and do it.
Do horses remember those types of incidents when it is such a...
I don't think so.
No, they don't remember anything like that, right? No. They just go out and they do their job.
Yeah, she's tough as old rope now. She's going to go out there and do her thing. I mean, like I said, though, I think the notion is maybe she got the wind knocked out of her. Like I said, it was kind of a unusual dynamic, the whole thing, but... it's horse racing. Look, it's just not – there's no givens. Sometimes the best team doesn't win, and sometimes the best horse doesn't win. And, it's I think scarred her record a little bit because she'd never been less than second in her life. So, we're going in today excited. That's all you can do.
That is all you can do. We'll see if she can rebound later this afternoon. If you're wondering, post time for the Fleur de Lis, which is race number 7 on the program this afternoon, is 3:52 Eastern time. Kenny, let's talk about Mystik Dan for a minute. Mystik Dan going in the Stephen Foster comes out of that nice win in the Blame. It was so great to see the Derby winner back in the winner's circle again.
For sure. I think we had some missteps early in his coming out of the Triple Crown. We got too ambitious. The Malibu was a really poor decision on my part, shipping and running. And we regretted that trip out there. We thought we had a chance to come back in the Pegasus. And once again, I think we were too ambitious. Now it's a kind of a regrouping mode, and we will these last 2 starts, we have step-laddered him up, and he has done everything we've asked, and he's his old self, and he's on a track that he's so fond of. And let's see. He beats this group. You've got to really say that this is a great horse.
Yeah, you could have picked a little softer spot, huh?
Well, look at that. But if you're going to find out whether he's a Breeders' Cup Classic horse, you're going to find out today.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
So why not? And we're where we belong, at the distance we like, at the track we like, with the rider we like, and if he's highly competitive, then that you can be pointing towards a Classic. In the back of my mind, I haven't told many people this, but I've thought I would love to try this colt on the grass at some point to show a little bit of a different angle of his talent, because he is and could be a very, very good grass horse. I think he's made for it. He's very Northern Dancer-ish. For those that don't remember, Northern Dancer won the Derby and the Preakness, but he never won again. And then his history as a sire has been turf. And so this is a horse that I think would relish it. But let's get through this race, and then maybe you may see him take a shot at the grass, and maybe even point to the Breeders' Cup Mile Turf. It would be fun.
Yeah, this race is so salty. You get Hit Show, winner of the Dubai World Cup. You get last year's Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Sierra Leone. First Mission is in here. Mindframe is in here, Grade 1 winner. My goodness, when I joked around, hey, you could have picked a softer spot, this is, if he beats this field, he's legit.
Well, maybe they should have picked a softer spot.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. It's Ken McPeek with me here going down the road to the Breeders' Cup. Kenny, I mentioned that last year Thorpedo Anna gave you that breakthrough win in the Breeders' Cup. I know there will be many more to come, but how special was that?
Well, it was good. We've been very unlucky in the Breeders' Cup. I'd had a multitude of seconds and thirds. I think I'd had 7 seconds and 9 thirds without a win, and a list of fourths too. I think on earnings, I'm one of the top 20 Breeders' Cup earning trainers without a win. It was weird. But, look, you just got to keep going over there one horse at a time, and we've done that. And I think it was just a matter of time until we got that knocked out. And it'll be interesting if she can run through the next let's say she runs through the distaff program over the course of the fall. You'll see her in the Classic. If she doesn't run through the distaff, then you'll see. I'm sorry. Yeah. You'll see her in the distaff. It kind of worded odd, but if she runs through the older fillies and mares, you'll see her in the Classic. If she doesn't, you'll probably see her in the distaff.
Any shot that we see her against the boys before the Breeders' Cup?
No. I'm going to go this race. I'm going to wait in Saratoga in August. Stakes book in front of me. I never can remember the name of this race. They've got a great race up there. The Ogden Phipps just ran. Yeah, it's similar to the wording is similar to the Phipps. I was here with Joe. The Personal Ensign is going to be her next start coming out of this, and then we'll get to take on Raging Sea. We'd like to be able to punch her back in the mouth, and then then we'll go from there.
That's interesting. That's a great comment on your part, because we don't often hear trainers be that open and say, hey, I want another shot at this horse. But we hear it with athletes in other sports, right? Trainers are competitors too, Kenny.
She was not supposed to beat us. It took her stablemate to run us into the rail to beat us. Come on.
Trainers are competitors too.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Yeah.
I wish horses could talk.
We hate each other until the gate opens, and when the race is over, a lot of us are good friends.
Yep.
I've got some guys that I am great friends with, but we're all competitive. I'm looking to beat them. They look to beat me. And then I have other ones that I don't, we're not friends. So it is what it is.
Yeah. It's like that.
Basketball, football, baseball.
Any sport, any industry. It's like that with everything. I hope you get another crack. I hope she runs really well this afternoon, and I hope you get another crack up there in the personal ensign. How about the American Derby? You got a horse in there, too. That's the race after the Stephen Foster. Let's not neglect Native Runner.
That horse had a confidence issue, in my opinion. I think he really needed to learn to win, and we were fortunate that Brad Kelly with Calumet let us drop him in for 50, and we were lucky we didn't lose him. And he's built his confidence with, 3 out of his last 4. And he's going to need to run the race of his life on this one, too. But he's going the right way. He's always trained like a very, very good horse. But he's not shown stakes-level talent. But as a listed stake, it ought to be a really good spot for him. But Brian, with Brian back on him, Brian's got such good touch and timing, as always, that we will trust in him again.
If he were to be successful in the American Derby, do you start to maybe think a little bit more about Breeders' Cup, or does he still have to show you more?
Well, I'm not going to think past this race. I mean, he has to show that he can be highly competitive in these. I mean, the Secretariat at Colonial, I think, is a race it's on my radar, but he needs to be third or better in this. And then you got to decide whether you think he's a better miler or further, because you'll have races to choose from between now and the fall. And I've always felt like he was a good grass horse, although he had a maiden run on the grass that wasn't stellar early on, but then he came back and won this one. So, he's headed the right direction. He's a big, strong, beautiful horse, Leoban, has a turf foot on him. And I actually tried to get Brad Kelly to run him for 50 claiming, and the racing team was like, no, don't run him for 50. Or, I'm sorry, not 50, 125. And we decided not to, and sure enough, he won anyway.
Kenny, whose idea was it to get the tattoo?
Mine. I have always said that if I ever won the Derby that I was going to get a tattoo. And then Sherry bought it at a charity auction, and I actually held on to it for a long time and kind of contemplated when I had time. And then I reached out to the tattoo artist, a girl named Zilla Smith, and she's easy to find on Instagram. And we went back and forth on some designs, and then I pulled the trigger. Because I actually wanted it smaller, and she kept saying, no, bigger. You need bigger. You got a big arm, plenty of space. You need a man's tattoo. And I think she did a great job. Yeah. Pretty much healed now. And Sonny's going to get one too. We're going to put one right down. I'm going to put it right on his side.
What? On your dog?
I'm just kidding. People ask me, was Sonny going to get a tattoo? Like, where could you put it, right? But my 9-year-old daughter watched the whole process.
Yeah.
Don't let your kids watch that. Because she wants one.
Of course.
And I'm like, no.
I think it looks great. If you haven't seen the picture, we'll share it on our HRN Twitter feed. But you can go to Kenny's Twitter feed, too, at Kenny McPeek, and he's got a picture there. He's kind of flexing his right bicep. By the way, nice bicep, brother. You been working out?
Hey, I work out, man. Not as much as I should, though.
I love it. It really does look great. It has the lily. It has the rose. It has the 150 with the horseshoe. Really just an awesome tattoo, man. So congratulations. That's really cool.
Thanks. I'm saving the left arm for the English Derby.
There you go. That's the next one on the bucket list.
Completely crazy to think I can win that. No,
Next one on the bucket list for Ken McPeek. Yeah, they say once you get your first tattoo, they just keep coming.
Nah, I don't know about that. It would have just really had to be a special accomplishment, and I thought that one was a no-brainer. But no, I'm not going to be rushing to ink up my body. Too bad. Yeah, and I made her place it so I could wear a golf shirt where you couldn't see it.
It still comes it comes down almost to your elbow.
Yeah, but I can wear a golf shirt and you can't see it.
Man, you got to show that off. You should be going with the the sleeveless shirts right in the paddock. I'd show that off as much as I could. It's like a Super Bowl ring, Kenny. It's like a Super Bowl ring. You want to wear it everywhere.
A lot of people, everybody asks, "Can I see it? Can I see it?" They always thought it was a.
Well, at first I did too, and then I started seeing you put it out there, and I realized now this is legit.
Yeah, why not? I've asked some other trainers. I said, "What about you, bro? If you want it, would you do it?" Hell yeah.
I know Dale would be on board to do it.
No, Dale said negatory. He
really?
Said no. Yeah. Of course, he very much left to Dale, so there's not much to put on.
It's true. He's lost so much weight. I'll have to bring that up with him later in the show.
He said no. Yeah, I don't think so. No. He said.
Well, Kenny, man, I appreciate the visit as always. Thanks for taking a few minutes. Congratulations on that success, and I know there's more to come starting later today. Let's go get it done, my friend.
All right, I'll see you at the races.
All right, you got it. Ken McPeek going down the road to the Breeders' Cup with me on this Saturday morning. And, yeah, that tattoo, I think it's really cool. And people did think it was AI and fake, but it's not. It's really on his right arm right now. Really, you know what? You win the Oaks and you win the Derby all in the same year. Get the tattoo. Don't even question it. And his tattoo artist, who he mentioned, did a beautiful job with it. So you can check it out. We'll retweet that at HRRN, and you can go take a look at it or go to Kenny's page if you want to see more. All right, time now for your Legends of the Turf, followed by a short commercial break. And when I come back, Bobby Newman caught up with Jeff Bratt, the handicapper at Woodbine, to walk through their big card this afternoon. You'll hear that conversation coming up shortly, right after your Legends of the Turf and this short commercial break.
This is the story of a man who was unquestionably one of the very best in the annals of thoroughbred racing at plying his trade in the saddle. His accomplishments as a reinsman were not only noteworthy, but they were watermarks among the riding colony on 2 continents. The sands of the racing hourglass are poured back to the late 19th century to begin this odyssey. The subject of this dissertation first saw the light of day in Cadentown, Kentucky in 1883. He rode his first winter in Chicago in 1899 on a horse called Avonstroke, and he subsequently rode in this country with unrivaled success until 1903. In 1901, he piloted the winner of the Kentucky Derby on a horse named, perhaps fittingly, His Eminence, and the winners of the Latonia Derby, New Orleans Derby, and the Memphis Derby. In point of fact, in his abbreviated American riding career, he had but 4 Kentucky Derby mounts, but never finished out of the money. He won that classic in back-to-back years aboard the aforementioned His Eminence and in 1902 with Allen a Dale. He was 3rd while in the saddle aboard Thrive in 1900 and was 2nd aboard Early in 1903. He rode 161 winners in 1901, a total absolutely unheard of in that day and age. He often said the very best horse he ever rode was McChesney, a horse conditioned by Sam Hildreth. He eventually had a great deal of trouble making American riding weights and opted to cross the big pond, so to speak, to ride in Europe, and there he experienced measured success until 1930. He first rode in Russia, where he won the Russian Derby twice and finished 2nd in that event 4 times in 6 years, while under contract to Mr. M. Lazarev. From 1910 to 1912, he rode in Austria-Hungary for Prince Lubomirski. He then returned to Russia, where he rode from 1913 to 1917. He won the Russian Derby 3 years in a row, 1914, 1915, and 1960, for Leon Montchev, who at the time was one of the wealthiest men in the country. Our man left Russia in 1917 at the inception of that nation's revolution being led by Messrs. Trotsky and Lenin. When he was to leave that country, he went to bid his friend what was to be a fond farewell. Many years later, in 1941, he learned that his friend and benefactor, Mr. Montecheff, was washing cars at that time for the Nazis in Paris. The story of our subject's escape from Russia in 1917 would provide more than ample fodder for Jean Le Carre's novel. Many times before escaping to Poland, he crawled on his hands and knees for hours to avoid being shot at by the Bolsheviks. In 1920, he left Warsaw for Paris, and he wound up there writing for Mr. Montecheff until 1926. He rode his last race in 1930 at the age of 47. Compositely, he rode over 2,300 winners in this country and in Europe, and he once rode 8 winners out of 11 mounts in Moscow. The vast majority of his victories were scored aboard 2-year-olds because he always hustled them out of the gate, rated them, and then saved something for the finish. European riders, on the other hand, went hell-bent for leather throughout and had nothing left at the end. He always felt, although never able to explain why, that collectively, Australian riders were the best. Our man turned to training in France in the 1930s with horses in training at Maison Lafitte near Paris. When the Second World War broke out, he was forced to disband his stable, and he turned his property over to the French government, which quartered 200 soldiers there. Then, after France's quick defeat, he was forced to quarter Nazi soldiers. On February 25, 1941, he began another portion of his international odyssey that brought him first to Spain, then to Portugal, and finally back to his native America. Having been in Europe for some time, he was fluent in French, German, and Russian, in addition to English. He passed away in 1941 at the nonagenarian age of 91, with not only fond memories of the turf on 2 continents, but with a cumulative riding record that by any measure, means, or standards has to rank among the all-time best. His story has the very fiber of what a legend of the world of racing is all about. He was Jimmy Winkfield.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In the heat of competition, every breath matters. Flair Equine nasal strips are clinically proven to reduce airway resistance. By protecting their lungs, you can reduce the risk of VIPH, quicken recovery, and optimize performance. Make a difference in every race and every stride with the product backed by science and trusted by top trainers. Trust Flair for every horse, every breath. Learn the science at flairstrips.com. That's flairstrips.com.
This is Woodbine Week on HRRN.
World-class thoroughbred racing continues with the Canada Day Racing Festival this Saturday at Woodbine. First post, 1:05 p.m. Join us as we celebrate Canada Day with 5 graded races and a $100,000 guaranteed early pick 5. Racing continues every Thursday through Sunday as we lead up to the $1 million Classics with the King's Plate on Saturday, August 16th and the Woodbine Mile on Saturday, August 13th. For more information on racing at Woodbine, visit woodbine.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well behind them still is Millie Girl, and last as they corner, Cairo Consort, Full Count Felicia, by a length to Safine, Dana's Beauty. Trying to run home is Implicated. Fev Rover going up on the outsides, about 4 behind them. Full Count Felicia's in front. Down the outside of the track, Fev Rover, Safine's battling away, and out wide of the course, here comes Millie Girl as well. Full Count Felicia tackled by Implicated, who's come through in the center better than all. Implicated's gone to the front, Fev Rover out wide with Millie Girl, but it is Implicated and Declan Cannon coming away in the Nassau Stakes pretty easily. Implicated by 2 to Fev Rover. Millie Girl third, Full Count Felicia fourth, and Forever Dixie and Safine 135.50.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on a very busy week in the world of thoroughbred racing. That was Robert Geller with the call of last year's Nassau, won by Implicated, as you just heard. Implicated, trained by Brendan Walsh, ridden by Declan Cannon, and the ownership group very similar to the combination that brings us this year's contender, Austere, who is 6-1 on the morning line, breaking from post 12 in the Nassau this afternoon. It's a great day of racing at Woodbine. All those greatest stakes races to celebrate Canada Day, which comes up later this week. Should be a packed house, and looking forward to all that action. Jeff Bratt is the longtime handicapper at Woodbine, and this week he sat down with our Bobby Newman to walk through those greatest stakes races. Here's his take on who he thinks can run really, really well.
Pleased to be joined now by Jeff Bratt, longtime television host and handicapper at Woodbine, and a fantastic card tomorrow, Jeff. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, Bobby, always great catching up with you, and you're right. I mean, obviously here in Canada, it's Canada Day on July the 1st, so that's a Tuesday. That's a big holiday for us, but we decided to party a little bit early on Saturday. So as you said, numerous stake races and so many Canadian champions racing on the program too, which I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. You got stepping stones towards some big races down the line, and a horse of the year from last year, named after a famous dodgeball character in Patches O'Houlihan. And your producer was just telling me back in the day, Bobby, you were the captain of the dodgeball team. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I wasn't good enough to play real sports.
That's right. So, yeah, Patches O'Houlihan. Frank DiGiulio, who is the owner of that horse, always has a lot of fun naming his horses. So we'll talk about that one coming up a little bit later on.
Well, maybe we'll see future champions somewhere coming out of race number 5. It's the Grade 3 Marine for the 3-year-olds, going 1 mile and a 16th on the main track. 7 of them listed for this race. And 2-1 morning line favorite is Scorching, coming off a nice effort on the turf in his last start.
I got to try and beat him here, Bobby. He was entered to compete down at the Big A over the winter time, and he got sick. And he got a fever, and he missed a considerable amount of time. He had to scratch the day of the race, unfortunately. So they've been playing catch-up with him the entire time. Now they take him off of Lasix here today. Listen, in the Gotham, he would have been a price play, but I know they were really happy with how he was training going into that event. And as I said, unfortunately, he had to scratch. So I just think we got to try and beat him at a low number in this spot. And the big thing, too, that I should point out to your listeners is the fact that the Marine is an open race. The King's Plate, which we'll have later on this season, that is a restricted race for Canadian breds. So there are some Canadian breds that are using this as a stepping stone, but it's a chance for our locally based American breds to have some success here in race number 5 on the card. You've got Mancetti, who is named after a pizza joint in Minnesota, I am told, who unfortunately the rider lost his irons last time out. And if you asked me last year, I would have said there's no shot this is a 2-turn horse, but he's kind of matured a little bit, so he might be able to get around 2 turns. But Megalodon is the horse to beat in this spot. A smash and allowance win last time out here, finished second in the rush away at Turfway. I think we'll go off as the favorites. These connections obviously take a lot of support, and I think it's going to be pretty tough to beat in the Marine.
7th race on the card starts an all-graded stakes pick 4. It's the Grade 3 Celine for the 3-year-old fillies, going 1 mile and a 16th on the main track. 8 of them in this race. And 2-1 morning line favorite down along the inside. Something about her. I'm intrigued with Serendipity, who looked really good in her career debut for Brad Cox on the turf at Gulfstream, and then ran okay, but not as well in an off-the-turf sloppy track dirt effort in her subsequent start.
Yeah, there's a few horses from Brad Cox's barn that have now moved over to the Josie Carroll outfits. And obviously this is an impeccably bred horse, as most of the L&J Foxwood horses are. And you're right, showed a great deal of ability in that first career start at Gulfstream, essentially wiring the field. And then, maybe it was a sloppy track last time out, or maybe something happened in there because it's been race, layoff, race, another layoff. So, Josie's got a pretty good 1-2 punch in this race. She's got Madame Obey as well. But I was really impressed with how the favorite did run last time out, that being something about her, Bobby, because if you look at her, she's probably not really a 7-furlong horse, and she just sort of ran out of real estate in that most recent race. And now she gets the stretch out in distance. And another thing that I should point out to your listeners as well, here in Canada, in grade stake races, you can race on Lasix, unlike down in the United States. So if you look at the 2 races with this horse, with the addition of Lasix, they have been 2 of her best races ever. So I think that's probably one of the main reasons why she's here as well. And she does get a chance to go around 2 turns. So, but how about this? Our leading rider and apprentice picks up another stake race mount, which I think is pretty significant. Just goes to show how many people have confidence in Pietro Moran.
Moving on to the 8th race is the Grade 2 Highlander for the older horses, sprinting 6 furlongs on the turf. Certainly the biggest name in Canadian racing over the last few years is Patches O'Houlihan. I'm not really sure this is his better surface, but he's pretty good anywhere he goes.
That's valid. I would tend to echo your sentiments. I would say he's probably a little bit better on the speed. When he won the New Arctic last season, he was drifting out to the 10 path, but his class got him there. He was scheduled to compete in the Jacques Cartier. Imagine this, Bobby. He was in a 4-horse field, and he was 1-9, and he spikes a fever the day of the race. Like, how heartbreaking is that for the connections? You're 1-9 in a race that you look to be a certainty on paper. And unfortunately, they had to scratch out that race. They've been playing a little bit of catch-up in here. I think it's a great battle between Patches O'Houlihan and My Boy Prince. My Boy Prince, give him a lot of props. He was a really good 2-year-old. He stretched things out in the plate. He ran well when finishing second. He probably doesn't want anything to do with a mile and a quarter. Now I think at the late portions of his career, he's going to be a sprinter up to a miler. They gelded him at the start of the year. He won the elusive quality. He finished second in the Jaipur. I think it's those 2 horses till the cows come home.
Tell me what's going on with Play Me a Tune. This is a horse that I thought was going to be one of the best horses, if not challenging for the best horse on the grounds, maybe about a year ago this time. And they've tried him long on the turf. They've tried him on dirt at Gulfstream. It seems like they're all over the place with Play Me a Tune. But when he's good, he's really good.
Yeah, like he was in the Forgo. That was a good field, too. Really good field. The third-place finisher came back to win with a massive speed figure in the process. I thought he would have run earlier on this season at Jacques Cartier. That's kind of been the theme with him, because don't forget, Bobby, he didn't make it to the race until he was a 4-year-old, so I don't know if there's, sound issues. I don't know what's going on with Playing Me a Tune. And you spoke of Patches O'Houlihan. I don't really know if turf is this guy's best surface either. So talking about, 2 of the big contenders in this race, maybe not on their ideal footing, that's another storyline to definitely talk about there in the Highlander.
9th race on the card is the Grade 3 Dominion Day for the older horses, going 1 1/8 on the main track. 8 of them going to post in this race. Morning line favorite is Wesley Ward's Fantastic Again.
And he was cross-entered in a race at Lone Star as well, but I saw yesterday Marcus Hirsch put on X that they are going to race in this event, and Victor Espinoza is going to come up and ride. So he obviously likes the synthetic. He's run very well on it in the past. He's coming out of a much tougher race, that being the Maker's Mark Mile. There's no Carl Spackers in this race by any means. Classic Motown coming off a winning effort, and the stepping stone race for this, that coming in the Eclipse. But I was really high on Exotic Serpent last season, and I was so high on him, I picked him in the plate. He had the lead, and he totally folded at the top of the stretch. I could feel the heart in my stomach just go all the way to the floor as my tickets just were going down the drain. And he was never the same after that, but he came back, and his comeback race was terrific. I think he tries to wire the field in here. I'm going to go in that one's direction. I do quite like the chances of Exotic Serpent as my top pick in that spot, but obviously you've got to really give a lot of credit to Wesley Ward and his charge in this spot. And Stanley House, for all the good things he's done in his career, he's just a 3-time winner, so I can't pick him on top, but I'll use him on the bottom of my try tickets.
The finale of the Graded Stakes Extravaganza tomorrow at Woodbine is race 10, the Grade 2 Nassau for the fillies and mares, going 1 mile on the turf, which of course is a 1-turn mile up at Woodbine. This is a race where it's hard to figure out who's actually going to go off favorite. My guess is it will be Caitlin Her Greatness, but she's another one who, even though she's good everywhere she goes, turf might not be her best surface.
She ran okay in the QE2 last season as a 3-year-old. She finished third and against one of the best in the division, obviously, and she feels pretty. Then she finished fourth in Maple Leaf. I think by the time she got to Maple Leaf, she was kind of over the top a little bit. But, Bobby, I'll say this. Her layoff race was sensational. She looked like an even better horse than she was last year, which is saying a lot because she was obviously a very, very good horse. I think she's definitely going in the right direction right now. And I think if she runs well here, it just opens so many doors for her down the line, like the E.P. Taylor Stakes, which has moved up this season. That will take place on King's Play Day. That's on 1.25 miles. So she would obviously look pretty good in this race. And then we just spoke earlier on about Ellen J. Foxwoods and the horses coming up from the Brad Cox outfit. They got Mixologist in this race. You got Chad Brown with Sweet Rebecca. who is obviously coming off of a massive win at Keeneland as well. This is the race of the day. Like a field of 12, and you can make a strong case for about 4 or 5 horses. I can't wait. This is the race of the weekend, and tomorrow I will be watching this race with much anticipation because I'm going to have a few tickets going here on race number 10.
Well, hopefully you'll be alive in that All-Stakes Pick 4 as well. Looks like a fantastic card, not only for watching but for wagering as well. Jeff, we really appreciate everything that you and everyone up at Woodbine does day in and day out, and a fantastic card tomorrow. Have a blast, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, Bobby. You keep up the great work as well. I've been a fan of yours for a long, long time. Always appreciate when you reach out.
That's Jeff Bratt with Bobby Newman looking at today's greatest stakes action coming up at Woodbine. As I mentioned, just a huge day north of the border. We'll get a look at some of the horses that could be making their way to other big races at Woodbine later in the summer, and should be a really fun day. Again, you're going to hear from Kevin Attard coming up later in the show, the champion trainer in Canada who dethroned dual Hall of Famer Mark Casse this past year at the Sovereign Awards. Kevin has 4 horses running among 3 stakes races this afternoon at Woodbine. He'll join me 9:40 Eastern. Still to come, too, Florent Geroux is going to be with me 9 o'clock Eastern. He is going to be aboard Dubai World Cup winner Hit Show in today's Stephen Foster at Churchill Downs. Boyd Browning Jr. will be with me. He'll look ahead to the July sale put on by Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. He'll talk about the new trainer incentive that they've introduced for this sale, too. It's going to be an interesting conversation with Boyd right around 9:20 Eastern. So plenty to come, including more conversation about Woodbine, because this indeed is Woodbine Week, the first of 5 Woodbine weeks we're going to bring your way here on the network throughout the summer and into the fall. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20 is a story about Regal Embrace, who won the Queen's Plate in his 6th start after not racing as a 2-year-old. It's a really neat story, and I think you'll enjoy that, so stay tuned for that later in the program. When I come back, I'll tell you more about what's ahead and what you can look forward to in the next 2 hours. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becker. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment. Email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net.
Hey,
Hey, this is Bobby Newman. Join me every Friday afternoon to dive deep into handicapping the races. We'll cover the live action from some of the biggest tracks in the country, talk to some of the major players in the game, and hopefully make a little money along the way. You can also call the show to share your opinions, ask a question or two, or maybe just vent about some bad beats. It's Betting with Bobby every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, online channel 999, or streaming live at horseracingradio.net.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And Ushba Tesoro from back in the field tries to make impressions as they swing in the Dubai World Cup. And it is Mixto who goes up to challenge Walk of Stars. Forever Young has a mighty task ahead of him. Wilson Tesoro goes with him in third and fourth. Hit Show running on from the back, but it's Mixto who hits the lead here with 150 metres left to go. Mixto for Doug O'Neill and Frankie Dettori. Hit Show out when it's all too late. Look at Hit Show right over the top. Hit Show for Florent Geroux and Brad Cox in the Dubai World Cup. Wins in spectacular fashion. Mixto second over. Third Forever Young. Fourth Il Miracolo from Walk of Stars.
Pat Comerford bringing them home in this year's Dubai World Cup. Hit Show getting the victory at big, big odds. He's tough. He goes later today in the Stephen Foster. In case you're wondering, the Stephen Foster is race number 11 on the 12 race program at Churchill Downs. First post set for 12:45 Eastern, race number 12, the last one 6:32, and race 11, the Stephen Foster, 6:03 Eastern time. It is part of a stellar afternoon of racing beneath the TwinSpires as we wrap things up at Churchill Downs and begin to look ahead to Ellis Park, the Pea Patch. Always fun to be down there at this time of the year. Some people say hottest place on the planet. Well, we hope that's the case after a very wet and cool spring throughout the Bluegrass. Hopefully Ellis Park delivers with a beautiful forecast throughout their race meet. Poll question for you this morning. I've been asking you to weigh in on which morning line favorite you trust most to deliver a winning effort today at Churchill Downs. Is it Thorpedo Anna in the Fleur-de-Lis, Booth in the Kelly's Landing, Mercante in the Wise Dan, or Sierra Leone in the Stephen Foster? Thorpedo Anna, especially after hearing from Ken McPeek earlier, right? Talk about defending your player. Boy, did he do that. Ken McPeek is such a great soundbite, too, right? Wants another shot at Raging Sea at Saratoga. Love to get up there, punch her in the mouth, he says. Figuratively, of course. He's not going to go up there and punch her in the mouth. But he'd like Thorpedo Anna to turn the tables on her, I can tell you that. If you missed that conversation with Ken McPeek or with Jeff Bratt in the previous segment, all you have to do is head back to our website, horseracingradio.net, to listen to the podcast of this entire show after we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern, and you can do that too on every podcast platform. But Thorpedo Anna would seem like the logical answer to this particular poll question. But you have to really dive into each of those four races to, if you're going to give an honest, a knee-jerk answer is Thorpedo Anna. But if you really dive into some of these, do you trust Sierra Leone? Maybe Booth. I'm not sure if I trust Mercante yet either. He's really on a roll, and he's been very, very good. But I don't know if I trust him as he continues to step up the ladder. Really good horse. And his trainer, Brian Nippenberg, joined me a few weeks ago on Trainer Talk presented by Fasig-Tipton. Did a fantastic job. A great story. And he's done a great job with Mercante. One thing about that horse is if he does get into a fight in the stretch, he's shown this his past several starts. If you look at his past performances, his running lines are almost all identical. Sits just off the pace in a stalking position, digs in through the lane, battles his way to the finish. And that's a formula that has gotten him to the finish line in front 3 of his last 4 races. His only loss coming in the Grade 1 Turf Classic at Churchill on May 3rd. So I don't know. This is a tough race. And he doesn't win by wide margins, but he'll gut it out. He's going to fight for every inch through the stretch.
So maybe Mercante is a good choice here, but which horse do you trust most? Which morning line favorite do you trust most to deliver a winning effort later today at Churchill Downs? Keep those responses coming at HRRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, another way to do it. Or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your thoughts. All right, plenty still to come here on the Horse Racing Radio Network in the Equine Forum. Florent Geroux, Boyd Browning, Kevin Attard, all part of a loaded second hour of the program. That's coming your way next, right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Today's edition of the Equine Forum has been pre-recorded. Please excuse any references to horses who may have scratched from today's races.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back, Hour 2 of 3, here on this morning's Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you in the saddle with me once again, right up until 11 a.m. Eastern. Florent Geroux set to join me momentarily to kick off hour number 2 of this morning's show. Boyd Browning Jr. coming your way at 9:20, and at 9:40, trainer Kevin Attard looking ahead to his runners later today at Woodbine. 10 Eastern, it is Joe Kristufek with the TwinSpires triple play. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, and we wrap up the show as we do every week, 10:30 Eastern. Our final segment, I Ask, They Answer. Trainer Dale Romans, turf rider Tim Wilkin will be here to debate some of the hottest topics in the sport today. We're also going to spend plenty of time celebrating the career of Hall of Fame trainer Dwayne Lucas. So stay tuned for that coming up toward the end of the show. Again, our poll question this morning, so many of you taking time to weigh in on that question. Which morning line favorite do you trust most to deliver a winning effort later today at Churchill Downs? Is it Thorpedo Anna? Is it Booth, Mercante in the Wise Dan, or do you think it's Sierra Leone in the Stephen Foster? Sierra Leone put it all together in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, didn't he? And there was so much talk, hey, when he figures it out, when he starts running straight through the stretch, he's going to be very, very dangerous. Well, he certainly proved to be when he was storming through the stretch at Del Mar. Do you trust him in today's Stephen Foster? Is he the one you feel is most likely to deliver a winning effort? The one you trust the most out of those four? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. You can go to @HRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. That Stephen Foster today is absolutely loaded. You heard Ken McPeek when I was joking around with him and said, hey, geez, you could have found a softer spot for Mystik Dan. And he said, well, maybe they should have found a softer spot. Ken McPeek is never shy about defending his player, and I love it. But Mystik Dan has his work cut out for him, especially with a horse like Dubai World Cup winner Hit Show in the Stephen Foster this afternoon, and nobody knows that better than his jockey Florent Geroux, who was aboard for that big win in Dubai. He joins me now here on HRRN. Flo, good morning, my man.
Hi, good morning.
Hit Show, he's part of a loaded Stephen Foster. That last win in Dubai was spectacular. Take me through the race.
Yeah, it looks like a great race, actually. Today's race, Stephen Foster is a very good quality race. And now just coming off a massive win over there in Dubai. So excited to get him back going for now.
Take me through that race in Dubai. What went on during the running of the race, and as you were making your way toward the finish line, what was happening there?
It was a great surprise, we like we said, before in the previous interview, we rode him more for placing, and somehow he was able to find more, down the lane. But it was a great race actually. I was able to wave my way through traffic with him, and he wasn't shy about anything, and he got them all at the end. So it was a great race.
He rarely runs a bad race when you're aboard, and more often than not, he wins when you're in the saddle aboard Hit Show. Talk about that chemistry that you have with this horse.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned. Most of the time when I ride him, he wins and looks like he performed some of his best races with me on his back. I feel like I don't feel like he's a very uncomplicated horse to ride. He always put himself, whatever position he is, and always try to finish off his races the best he can. So
now, I was gonna ask you that. What's the key? You say he's an uncomplicated horse to ride. What's the key to making him comfortable during the running of a race?
Yeah, just like whatever is comfortable with. You can try to ask him to be closer if he just can't keep up early on or this sort of stuff. Let's say if let's say today he breaks great and is closer than normal, I'm gonna let him be. So I'm not gonna try to duplicate the race where he's won last time. He's won closer to the lead. He's won from the back. He's won at very many different racetracks. It's a horse who travels very well. And he runs on slopey track. He runs on fast track. He runs on anything pretty much. So he's a very cool horse to ride.
Size up the competition for me today. I mentioned Mystik Dan. I mentioned Sierra Leone. This is a salty group, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Actually, my personal preference, I like Mindframe. I think he's coming to the race in very good shape, and I like his tactical ability to be forwardly placed, but not especially front running. I think he has a little bit of the tactical advantage of all of us in the race, and he's a very good horse too. So, but it's a loaded race. It's a great race to handicap, and you can make a case for easily 6 horses in this race, no problem.
You've also been aboard Brad's other horse in the race, First Mission. Tell me a little bit more about what you feel underneath you with First Mission when you ride him.
Well, First Mission, same thing. He's a very cool horse to ride. He always break good, always puts you in a great position, which is make it a lot easier for the jockey, and especially wave your way through traffic. Same thing. The only thing with him is he's not proven at this level. Feels like every time when he runs a Grade 1 race, he's always there, but he doesn't necessarily get the job done. He's Grade 3, Grade 2, he's able to win easy, but feels like when it's getting a little more complicated with labor quality field, sometimes he just doesn't win. But maybe he's just a better horse this year. He could easily, like you said, move up from 4 to 5. It's very possible.
Flo, how did this situation work? Did Brad come to you and say, "Hey, I'd like you aboard Hit Show," or did you have your choice between the two?
Yeah, well, this one was not really not too much choice, to be honest, Mike, because you're just coming off the biggest win of a lifetime with the horse Dubai World Cup.
Yeah,
it's kind of, I don't think it's the right thing to take off the horse, after such a massive win, especially when I have a horse who always run better for me than other jockey. It was probably easier for them, for Brad to say, okay, we're gonna have Flo on Hit Show than First Mission. I think both connection understood perfectly why I'm riding the horse.
You draw toward the outside. There are only 7 horses in the race. You draw post position number 6. You talked about Mindframe being a horse that you see as being very dangerous in there. He's in post 2. Talk about, is there any potential advantage to you being drawn outside of him in this race?
Yeah, I mean, I at least if the pace is not very fast, at least I have a way out. I can start making my move early if the pace is not very hot. So that's a little bit of, I would say, advantage. It could be, but no, I think it just depends how the pace scenario is going to be. For myself and especially more importantly for Sierra Leone, is a horse who really is at the mercy of what's happening in front of him.
Will you always know where Mindframe is during the running of the race?
Yeah, no, I'm sure he's going to be in front of me, so I'm definitely going to see him.
Yeah, it won't be hard to follow him, right?
Yes, exactly. But no, what I think, I'm not necessarily he's going to win, but at least he's the one who should be a little bit of have pace and tactical advantage. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, for all of these horses, it is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic, but this is not the end goal. The Classic would be the end goal in November. So especially for a horse like Hit Show, where he hasn't been out since the Dubai World Cup on April 5th, this isn't – you want to win this race, but this isn't the end goal. What do you hope to feel underneath you today?
Yeah, I'm hoping he make a good showing, win or lose. Make sure he finish, with interest, and shows he's still the same horse than he was, 2 months ago in Dubai. I think if you repeat that race, he's going to be definitely in the mix, and he can definitely win a race. But for a win today, he's going to have to run one of his best races of his life, because he's a great field.
Talking with jockey Florent Geroux. He'll be aboard Hit Show in the Stephen Foster, as you've heard us talk about throughout the conversation here this morning. He's also going to be aboard Fixin' to Be in the Tepin Stakes for Rusty Arnold. That's race number 8 on the Stephen Foster program. Goes at 4:25 Eastern, 1 mile on the turf. Flo, a completely different type of race than the Stephen Foster.
Yeah, exactly. This one is a turf race, except the dirt race, and 3-year-old fillies, and the other race is older male. But this one is different too. It's a filly I've never ridden before, so it will be my first time on her. I'm watching her replays, and I will listen what her trainer, Rusty Arnold, have to say about her, and whatever it tells me to do, I'm going to try to follow it.
She breaks from the inside post, too. We just talked about you breaking from the outside or toward the outside with Hit Show. Now you have to overcome a rail draw with Fixin' to Be. How much different is that for a jockey?
Well, actually, in turf races, if I can be, inside, especially in a two-turn race, I will say it's a little bit of an advantage. And especially when you're not favorite, you want to make sure you save as much ground as you can to have the much horse underneath you at the end. So I think I'm thinking a little bit of an advantage, And after that, it's just going to see if she's good enough to compete against these fillies.
Flo, I really want to go inside the mind of a jockey here in terms of your preparation, because I find this fascinating when riders are aboard a horse for the first time. And you talked about watching replays of her races and then talking to trainer Rusty Arnold to see what he has to say about her. Okay, that's all well and good. But when you're watching replays of her races, what exactly are you looking to see? Is it only about her running style, or are you watching what the other jockeys did aboard her? Take me through that process.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Most likely, I always try to see how they break from the gate, first of all. So if they break great, then allows you to take some type of position. So that's number one. And after that, number two, I see how they travel during the race, how much they relax, or if they are tough to handle. So give me a little bit of an idea if the horse, could be a little bit strong sometimes, or if it's a horse who's very lazy. That's number two. And number three, most important, how the horse likes to finish off his races. And after that, I'm trying to make a bit of a combination with the three, and try to bring my touch, and then see. Sometimes it's a winning recipe, sometimes it's not. But that's how I look at it. At first when I ride a horse like this for the first time, and sometimes it happens many times. You ride a horse like this for your first time, and you win right away, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So it's really there's no winning strategy at it.
Well, you don't win almost 2,300 races in a career, Flo, by not doing your homework and not learning from everything that you go through in this business. How much different is Florent Geroux as a rider now as opposed to when you first started in the game?
Well, I would say definitely more experience. That is for sure. That's what you say, Mike. And no, I think better knowledge of the races, and overall, I would say more experience. And I think I'm still at the age where I can compete, with younger guys, no problem. A few more years, who knows if physically I still feel the same. But you have a guy like John Velasquez in his 50s, and he's able to having a pretty good year so far. So it just shows you it's possible, and I feel like, talking for myself, I have a big advantage because I'm very light, so I don't have to reduce a lot of weight, and probably that's why I'll be able to ride a little bit longer than some other guy because I don't have any weight issue, and that's the key also for a jockey like John Velasquez. He's light, naturally, and probably that's why he keeps he's around a little bit longer and still feels good because you don't have to lose 5 or 6 pounds a day before a race.
Flo, I talked to Johnny on this show a few weeks back. It was right after that huge Belmont Stakes Racing Festival where he won, 6 stakes races or something. And we talked about that. And I said, Johnny, come on. I said, you're the veteran in the room now, but you're still taking it to these young kids. How are you able to do it? And he said, well, I'm not like a Mike Smith where I'm working out all the time. He said, I really don't like to work out, but I get on horses and I stay fit that way. And he went through the whole process. And I asked him, what was still motivating him at this point in his career? And, of course, the wins go a long way toward doing that. But how about for you, Flo? What still drives you and motivates you and keeps you going?
Yeah, same thing, the thrill of winning. After a while, it's never all to win a race. It doesn't matter if it's like a small race or a big race. When you see the connection of the horse, very excited, very happy, not only the trainer and the owner, but especially all the people from working hard in the stable who work with those animals every single day. They put a lot of time and effort, and it's very rewarding, when you win a race and you see all those people very happy, excited after the race. It's very satisfying.
Are you a big workout guy away from the track?
I like to work out usually like 2-3 times a week, but when it's extremely hot like it is actually right now, I walk horses in the morning about I would say easily 4 or 5 times a week. And no, it's very demanding right now, just staying hydrated. But when I don't ride, usually I just don't like to stay around, doing nothing. I do some, try to keep myself occupied and try to work out at least easily once or twice a week during the off days.
Well, Flo, whatever you're doing, it's working, man. Nearly 2,300 wins and that huge win in Dubai earlier this season. Good luck with Hit Show and with all the horses you're going to be aboard coming up this weekend and beyond. And safe trip every time you get a leg up, my friend.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, Florent Geroux here on the Horse Racing Radio Network really does a fantastic job. I was remiss. I didn't even get a chance to – we were running out of time there. I didn't get a chance to ask him about Saudi Crown coming up tomorrow. He has Flood Zone in the Maxfield Stakes. Both of those are for Brad Cox. He's aboard some really good horses, and getting tied into a guy like Brad Cox is certainly one way to do it. I want to remind you that if you are going to be in Kentucky for the races this weekend, or if you're going to be coming to Ellis Park and then making a trip to Lexington, make sure you treat yourself to Tony's of Lexington for an incredible meal. As a matter of fact, Boyd Browning is coming up next from Fasig-Tipton. We're going to talk about the July Sale in Lexington on July 8th, and that's an outstanding time to go visit Tony's if you haven't done it yet, or if you have, head back in there. I'm sure you'll agree with me that the steak is second to none. Call now, get your reservations, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Tony's of Lexington, just behind Rupp Arena on Main Street in Lexington, Kentucky. All right, coming up next, it is indeed Boyd Browning Jr. He'll look ahead to that July Sale on July 8th, and your Kentucky Bred Spotlight comes your way right after that. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
This is Woodbine Week on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Scott Mallory is offering a trio of exciting prospects at the Fasig-Tipton July Sale of selected yearlings on July 8th. Hip 11 out of a young Blame mare by freshman sire Mo Donegal, a son of super sire Uncle Mo. Hip 55 out of a winner-producing Animal Kingdom mare by Grade 1 winning freshman sire Drain the Clock, whose weanlings averaged 5 times the stud fee. And Hip 89 out of a multiple stakes winning mare by exciting multiple Grade 1 winning freshman sire Cyberknife, who set a new track record in the Haskell. Visit the Scott Mallory consignment in Barn 8 at Fasig-Tipton July. Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of over $34 million in purses and awards? The chance to be a champion. Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you the chance to do just that, with an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships in Del Mar, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage. Win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn an automatic starting position in a Breeders' Cup race. Entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, a Nominator Award of $10,000, travel awards, and so much more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. View the schedule of Challenge Series races happening around the world and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And they're into the stretch, and Sierra Leone has circled up on the outside to take the lead. Fierceness battles on second. Newgate behind them. Forever Young on the far outside. Sierra Leone. Fierceness digs in. Newgate. Forever Young. Sierra Leone close to home. Sierra Leone does it in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Fierceness was second. Forever Young was third. Newgate fourth. And then came Senor Buscador. Today was the day that he got it done. It was Sierra Leone.
Yes, it was. That's Larry Colmus with the call of last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. Sierra Leone looking to punch his ticket back to Del Mar with a win in the Stephen Foster Stakes here on Saturday afternoon. We'll see if he can get it done as the 5-2 morning line favorite. Sierra Leone, one of several prominent Fasig-Tipton graduates set to go to the post later today beneath the TwinSpires. Of course, Sierra Leone, a graduate of the 2022 Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale. You also have another horse you may have heard of, Thorpedo Anna, reigning horse of the year. She's a graduate of the Fasig-Tipton Kentucky October Sale in 2022, and she goes in the Grade 2 Fasig-Tipton Fleur de Lis. So Fasig grads well represented, to say the least. Boyd Browning Jr. is the president and CEO of Fasig, and he joins me now here on HRRN. Boyd, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you doing today?
Good. Plenty of things to watch from a Fasig-Tipton perspective, huh?
Oh, I can't wait. Looking forward to being in Churchill this afternoon and seeing some of our graduates perform hopefully very, very well and handing out a trophy for the Fleur de Lis, for the Fasig-Tipton Fleur de Lis. So a great day of action today at Churchill, and exciting weeks coming up with the 4th of July group at Saratoga, and then Saratoga, and then Del Mar, and of course we've got some yearling sales getting ready to kick off as well. So it's a fun time of the year.
Yeah, the yearling sale in Kentucky, the July sale of selected yearlings comes up on July 8th, and then you've got the Saratoga sale right behind that, and it just kind of gets rolling from there with the yearling scene. Let's talk about the July sale for a minute, Boyd. Another sale that has been ultra productive in recent years, hasn't it?
It really has, Mike. It's been a fantastic sale for literally 25, 30 years, maybe even longer than that. Just, it's got a reputation of selling runners. What we're looking for in the July sale, obviously it's the first yearling sale of the year, so you're looking for a little bit more mature type of horse, athletic type of individual, nice solid hip, very good mover. And then those attributes have really translated to tremendous performance on the racetrack for many years. And, obviously it's dependent upon the consigners sending us quality horses, and they continue to do so. So it's been a great sale. Very excited about this year's catalog, and ready to get started.
261 selected yearlings have been cataloged for that July sale coming up on July 8th. And you look at the cover, and you see graduates like Grade 1 winning superstar Chancellor McPatrick, and then Carson's Run, who captured the Saratoga Derby Invitational, another Grade 1 winner coming out of that sale. You have to be so proud with the quality of horses that have come out of that sale every year, Boyd.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing. It has stood the test of time year in, year out. Top-class runners come out of this sale. And if you peek on the inside front cover of the catalog, you can see it's ranked number 1 sale in the United States by percentage of stakes winners, by the number of percentage of stakes horses, and by 2-year-old winners. And it's number 2 behind percentage of grade 1 winners and graded stakes winners, behind only the Saratoga sale. So, and those numbers really truly continue to stand up the test of time. And once again, it just reflects the quality of horses that are being offered by our consigners. And and I think our inspection team has done and continues to do a really good job of identifying those precocious type athletic individuals that achieve success on a racetrack.
What are some of the key differences in the horses we'll see at the July sale as opposed to the yearlings we'll see later next month at Saratoga?
Well, I think for the most part, the difference is probably pedigree. We in our select sales, whether it be July or whether it be Saratoga or whether it be the New York bred sale, we're physical confirmation people. Right, wrong, or indifferent. For 30 years, we've focused on the physical confirmation more so than the pedigree. We believe that that's one of the things that differentiates ourselves. I think the buyers have come to, when they walk on the sales grounds in July or they walk on the sales grounds at Saratoga, they're going to find attributes that they like on virtually every horse. Now, they're not going to bid on every horse, and every horse is going to make their short list, but they're not going to say, man, that's a skunk, or what in the world is that horse doing in this sale? So, first and foremost, we're looking for athleticism in both the July sale and the Saratoga sale. We kind of view horses, we don't look for what's wrong with the horse, we look for what's right with the horse. First impression is very, very, very important, and really all of our select sales. When that horse comes out of the stall at the farm, you kind of have 75-80% of your decision is made literally within 10 seconds of seeing that horse. If you say, I like the shape, that looks like that looks like a runner. And then you kind of go through the evaluation, the critical evaluation, is he too offset or is she too offset? How are her hocks, the back of the knee, so on and so forth. But we're looking for those horses that when they come out of the stall, you say, that's a well-shaped, well-balanced, athletic-looking horse. And, as you said, the question that you asked was what's the difference between July and Saratoga? It's generally pedigree, a little bit stronger pedigree if you go into Saratoga.
The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic 2-year-old in training sale, which was held last month, set new records for gross, average, and median. Boyd, is there anything we can take away from what we've seen in the success of the 2-year-old sales that might give us an indication as to how these yearling sales may unfold from a buyer perspective, or even what consigners might be looking for at these sales, or are they apples and oranges?
No, they're certainly not apples and oranges. No. I think that all of our markets are interrelated. Yearling sales feed the 2-year-old sales, 2-year-old sales feed the yearling sales feed the broodmare sales, weanling sales feed the yearling sales. So no, there's an interrelationship between every sale. I think what we saw at the 2-year-old sales was really the continuation of the trends that we've seen in recent years. People want quality horses. People want horses that they think can go compete, at the higher level racetracks. They're willing to pay for them. It's very competitive to try to buy a horse that's perceived to be a runner or a potential runner. We see that at the 2-year-old sales. We see it in the horses racing age market. We've seen that same trend happen at the yearling sales, and I think they'll continue in 2025. That it's not going to be easy to sell a mediocre horse, and it's going to be really hard for the buyers to buy a really good horse because they're going to have to pay for them.
Fasig-Tipton President and CEO Boyd Browning Jr. with me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network, the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Boyd, let's talk about a new initiative that you have launched in association with the July sale. It is a trainer bonus where you're offering $25,000 to the trainer that purchases the highest number of yearlings at the upcoming July selected yearling sale. Tell me about that.
Well, Mike, we're just trying to, really create more interest amongst the trainers. It's the perfect type of horses for trainers to be coming to the sale and buying. It's an easy sale for them to work. It's one day of actual sale itself. They can get through the horses pretty quickly. We're just trying to try some new things. We're like, hey, how do you encourage trainers to come to a horse sale to get boots on the ground? And we said, hey, let's try this and see what the reaction is going to be. See how, who shows up and does it influence behavior. You never know until you try some creative concepts, and we'll be, curious to see if this is beneficial. We've received lots of feedback on the concept, and hopefully it translates into increased participation on Tuesday the 8th.
Well, $25K is a pretty good incentive.
You would sure think so, yeah.
At least to get you in the door.
Right. It would grab my attention if I was a trainer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk about this topic with Dale and Tim, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin, when they join me at 10:30 Eastern on our I Ask, They Answer segment. And I'm really anxious to hear what Dale has to say about it, to hear his take on this. And truthfully, if he feels as if it will really move the needle on what we're going to see at the sale. But like you said, Boyd, I think it's worth a shot. Why not?
Well, I've been at Fasig a long time, and I think I lead the industry in things that we've tried that didn't work. Not everything you do works. But I think that everyone will say is those men and women at Fasig-Tipton, they'll think outside the box, and they're willing to try some different concepts. And, as I said, I don't think it's there was very, very, very little downside in trying it. It will influence behavior? I don't know. It's generated a lot of discussion, and that in and of itself is good. So
yes,
hopefully we'll say, hey, it was a great idea, and we'll do it, many more years. Or if it doesn't help and doesn't do any good at all, we'll say, well, we swung and missed on that one. We'll try some other tactics going forward to try to increase our buyer participation amongst the trainers. So, but we're willing to take a shot.
Kenny McPeek was with me in the first hour of the program, and now I'm kicking myself that I didn't bring this up to him, because I have to think that among all trainers, Kenny has to be among the favorites to take advantage of this bonus.
Kenny has been a very strong supporter of the July Sale for many years and has bought a ton of runners out of the July Sale. And as you mentioned at the outset, he bought a pretty good filly out of the October sale as well that we'll see on the track later today.
Maybe if he gets that $25,000 bonus, Boyd, we can get him to put a Fasig-Tipton tattoo on his other arm.
Ooh, I don't know. He may want more than that for that tattoo.
That's right, too. Well,
Kenny's not cheap, okay?
he was cheaper before he won the Kentucky Derby.
And the Oaks on the same weekend, exactly. Yeah. The NIL for cost for Kenny has gone up in the last 15 months.
Oh, well, Boyd, it's going to be a spectacular sale. Again, July 8th, and it's a sale that you'll want to take advantage of. You also have the digital sales that are going on every single month, and that's a cool concept, too. Just spend a minute before I let you go talking about the success of the digital sale platform.
Well, but let me also throw in there, following the yearling sale is our live horses of racing age sale on the 8th.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have horses of racing age on the grounds that will sell immediately following the yearlings on July 8th. And we're going to announce the catalog came out yesterday, and there's some really exciting prospects that are in the catalog that I think will attract a lot of attention both domestically and internationally. So we're looking forward to that. So. But yeah, moving on to the digital sales, it's been a great addition to the kind of the sales calendar for us. We've seen increased popularity and growth really in all segments of the market, and we basically are doing them virtually every month. And there's some months that that make more sense to sell certain types of horses than others. It's been a great marketplace for selling racehorses. Those horses that don't have to leave their stall. And you run a big race today, you can be literally on a digital platform, and then sometimes the next week, and sometimes always between the next 30 days. So it's created a lot of liquidity in the game, and created lots of opportunities for new people to get involved. I think that's one thing that's kind of has surprised us. We didn't anticipate is the number of people who have participated in digital sales who had never participated in one of our live sales. So I think it just goes to show the changing behavior of human beings and the way they access information, the way they obtain information, and frankly their comfort level of utilizing the internet and digital quote-unquote information to make buying decisions.
Well, you can go to Fasig-Tipton.com to learn more about everything Boyd and I have discussed here this morning, and you can see a complete catalog for the July sale on their website. And don't forget to check back for the Saratoga sale, August 4th and 5th in Saratoga Springs. Then you have the New York bred yearlings, August 10th and 11th. So plenty of things coming from the folks at Fasig-Tipton. And Boyd, I appreciate the visit here this morning. All the best with that July sale, and all the best later today at Churchill Downs.
Oh, thanks, Mike. We're looking forward to it. And as you say, it's a great card, and hopefully we'll have some real success with some of our graduates. So I appreciate you touching base with me this morning, and it should be an exciting next 6 weeks for us at Fasig-Tipton.
Yeah, good luck, my friend.
Thank you very much. Boyd
Browning Jr. here on HRRN, and that leads us perfectly into this month's Kentucky Bred Spotlight presented by the KTA KTOB, where it pays to race and breed in the bluegrass. A record $20 million in awards was paid to breeders participating in the Kentucky Thoroughbred Breeders Incentive Fund program for racing in 2024. KBIF has provided more than $250 million to breeders of Kentucky breds winning eligible races worldwide since the program was implemented in 2025. Kentucky remains one of the leading racing jurisdictions, averaging a near record high purse per race of more than $112,000 and an average field size of 8.9 in 2024. Kentucky breds are certainly the world's best racehorses. That's little debate about that. Kentucky breds have flexed their muscles around the world already this year, with Ruling Court winning the first UK Classic of 2025, taking down top prize in the Group 1 2000 Guineas at Newmarket in May. And then you had Crimson Advocate, who was one of the stars of the Royal Ascot meet, winning the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge Stakes in impressive fashion, marking her second win at the prestigious race meeting, having won the Group 2 Queen Mary in 2023. Kentucky breds also dominated the classic races at home this year, with Sovereignty winning the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont, and then Journalism capturing the Preakness. Kentucky breds, breed them, raise them, race them. We all win. For more information on racing and breeding in Kentucky, visit KentuckyBreds.com. We go from Kentucky to Woodbine in Canada. Canada Day coming up this week, and the Canada Day Racing Festival takes place this afternoon. Champion trainer Kevin Attard set to join me next on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast, with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
And at the 8th pole, it is Maxfield doing it easily by 3. Sprawl's trying hard back in 2nd. Warriors Charge running a good race up into 3rd. The rest are struggling, and Maxfield fought off all challengers easily to win the Foster. Glides under the wire, winning it by 3.
It never gets old looking back on Maxfield's big wins, and that was a good one as he captured the 2021 running of the Stephen Foster at Churchill Downs, one of Maxfield's 8 career wins, making him your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Maxfield, never off the board in 11 career starts. He also distinguished himself in an undefeated 2-year-old season with a win in the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity. He's already the sire of 2 debut winners, including Churchill Downs victorists, Lilies, and Paradise. Learn more about Maxfield and all the Darley Stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
This is Woodbine Week on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
World-class thoroughbred racing continues with the Canada Day Racing Festival this Saturday at Woodbine. First post, 1:05 p.m. Join us as we celebrate Canada Day with 5 graded races and a $100,000 guaranteed early pick 5. Racing continues every Thursday through Sunday as we lead up to the $1 million classics with the King's Plate on Saturday, August 16th and the Woodbine Mile on Saturday, August 13th. For more information on racing at Woodbine, visit woodbine.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Karen in front of the home stretch turn by 2 lengths. And as they come for the lane in the Nassau, has not been challenged yet. Southern Gem is second. And down the center of the track, Starship Jubilee is putting in a run nicely. And up the inside, Involuntary. They've come after Karen, and Starship Jubilee has gone right to the front. Involuntary coming up to second. And on the outside late is Stormy Victoria. But Eureka Rosa da Silva is romping away with the Nassau Stakes. And Starship Jubilee will score by about 3 lengths. Make it 2 3/4. Involuntary second. Stormy Victoria third. Karen was fourth.
Robert Geller with the call. That was the 27 running of the Nassau Stakes at Woodbine, won by the brilliant Starship Jubilee, trained by Kevin Attard. He looks for another victory in that race this afternoon with the brilliant Caitlin Her Greatness, winner of the King's Plate last year, and now she looks to add the Nassau to her impressive resume this afternoon. Kevin Attard has horses entered in 3 stakes races, 4 horses among 3 stakes, 1 in the Marine Stakes, 2 in the Dominion Day, and then Caitlin Her Greatness in the Nassau. And he joins me now here on HRRN. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Happy Canada Day weekend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I guess I should say happy 4th of July.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, coming up quickly here in the States as well. Busy day for you, my friend.
Yeah, we've got a busy afternoon lined up here today, so looking forward to some big races.
Let's start with Caitlin. She has been just absolutely remarkable throughout her career. Tell me about what you're seeing from her coming into the Nassau.
She's doing well. She came out of her last race in really good order. Kind of starting off in the springtime when she shipped up to me this year, she just looked like a more mature, developed filly, and she was showing that on the racetrack, and worked brilliantly, kind of heading into her first race, and kind of ran to those work. So we were happy and excited to see that. She's had 2 preps now coming into the Nassau today, and I've been happy with the way she's trained heading into this race. She's obviously shown a good, good turn of foot on the turf. So looking forward to seeing her on the E.P. Taylor course this afternoon.
Earlier in the program, I talked with trainer Ken McPeek, and we talked about Mystik Dan going in the Stephen Foster. And then Florent Geroux was with me. We talked about Hit Show in that very same race. And with both of those guys, we talked about the quality of the Stephen Foster field. Same thing with the Nassau. This might be the race of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely some good fillies, obviously, coming up south of the border as well, right, too. You got the Chad Brown filly, Grand Motions filly, who's kind of run over this course already in the past. So, and then you've got the local contingent as well. So it's definitely she's going to have to step up her game today. But, she's obviously always kind of come up to the challenge for us and just kind of gives it her best each and every time.
Yeah, there's a trainer named Cassie in that race, too, but he doesn't pose a problem for you anymore, does he?
Easier said than done. He never, whenever you get the overnight and you see Cassie's name there, he comes ready for bear, that's for sure.
Referring to the fact, of course, that you snapped Mark's 13-year streak as champion trainer by a single vote last year at the Sovereign Awards, 135 to 134. You only got to be 1 vote better than the other guy, Kevin.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of photos before, so it was nice to win that one finally. Hopefully maybe we can go on the 13-year streak as well. So we're going to try, and obviously maybe a win in the Nassau will help the cause.
One of the things that I loved about the Sovereign Awards when we were up there, and we were fortunate to win for our broadcast of the Queen's Plate several years ago, was the fact that you don't know if you've won when you go to the event. With the Eclipse Awards, you already know that you're a winner, and that's why you go. If you're on the media side of things, you already know if you've won by the time you get to the Eclipse Awards. Not the case with the Sovereign Awards. You're among 3 finalists, and you have to sit there to see if your name is pulled out of the envelope. What was it like to hear your name called?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the suspense is there. You know what I mean? There's been years where, you know what I mean, I thought I could have won, and you don't hear your name, and it's a little bit deflating. So definitely kind of on the edge of my seat, and when they did kind of call my name out, it was just a big sense of relief and something, you know, growing up as a kid, it's a goal that I always wanted to accomplish and get that trophy. So, you know, a lot of hard work by the staff and my assistant trainer, everybody behind me. Obviously the owners for supporting us, and we couldn't be here without the horses, you know, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can check that box, my friend. Well done. Congratulations on that, and all the best here in 2025. Let's get back to Caitlin and her greatness for a minute. You talked about what you're seeing from her coming into this race. People might not realize that she did not begin her career with you. She began with Todd Pletcher. She was sent to you in July of 2024, July of last year, and she immediately wins her first start when you put her on the turf. She hadn't been on the grass before that, but she's shown a lot of versatility since that time. What have you learned about her since you've had her?
She's just an honest horse. You know, goes out there, does her job, has a lot of raw ability and talent. You know, she's just been obviously a pleasure to have in the barn. You know, I'm grateful to win the King's Plate with her. And, you know, we're looking forward to a big year with her this year. So I think she's just a better version of herself. She had a great winter at WinStar. She came up to me looking great, and just has trained, you know what I mean, I would say just a little bit a notch above where she was last season. So I'm excited, and hopefully today she just can kind of put another good race behind her.
Outside of the fact that he's a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I'm a huge supporter of Elliott Walden and WinStar. How cool is it to train for those guys?
Definitely. When you see those silks on, you know what I mean, one of your horses beside your name, you know, winning the King's Plate, those silks now kind of are on a flag in the infield. It's pretty special to see, and you know, I feel very fortunate that they've entrusted me with a horse of her caliber, and you know, I mean, just very grateful to the WinStar team and Elliott Walden.
Who's the big horse in the barn this year for the King's Plate?
There's a couple 3-year-olds we have. You know, the Wolf, horse named Faber. We've got obviously Mancetti and Marine. We're hoping to stretch out and see how he handles winning 2 turns now. He's been in a kind of an in and out horse. One good race, one bad race. Very unfortunate last time, though, kind of not by a fault of his own. So hopefully we can get him back on track this afternoon. Shows a lot of raw ability and talent in the mornings, and just need some consistency out of him.
Yeah, we'll see if he can find a way to get it done later today. You mentioned stretching him out. Can that make obviously it can make a big difference for any horse, but do you see him as a horse that wants to go longer?
It's tough. You know, he's got me a little puzzled. You know, I'm hoping maybe just the tempo of the race will be to his liking, where he'll be able to get out there and relax, get in a good rhythm. I think that's more key and vital for him. And you know, sometimes when you stretch those horses to 2 turns, that does kind of work in their favor in that sense. So, you know, he can be a little headstrong. So I think it's going to be up to Pietro to see if he can kind of ration his speed this afternoon and give him a good trip.
Kevin Attard here on HRRN. Kevin, let's talk about the Grade 3 Dominion Day. You have 2 horses entered there, and that's the race preceding the Nassau that we talked about with Caitlin, her greatness. It is race 9, 5:39 Eastern. Both of your horses are breaking side by side. Ballast Out from post 1, Fashionably Fab from post number 2. Tell me about those 2.
Yeah, obviously Fashionably Fab, defending female Sovereign Award champion, filly and mare, facing the boys. So, you know, we could have run her in the Nassau, but I don't think she's a filly that moves up on the turf. A little disappointed with her first start of the year. Was expecting more out of her. You know, she's come back. She's had one nice little breeze in between. we've elected to kind of tackle the boys today, getting a little bit of a weight advantage as well. So, I think she'll round back into her form from last season, and if she does, that makes her kind of really competitive with this group of horses, I believe.
And then Ballast Out just to the inside?
He's a horse. His synthetic form is really good and solid. He ran against some of the best last year over it. And we're adding blinkers for this start today. Just got beat a dirty nose last start. I think he's up for a big race as well today. He's trained really well. I'm hoping the addition of blinkers keeps him a little bit more focused and just a little bit maybe closer to the early pace. So really excited. He's a horse that's been very versatile, turf or synthetic, but arguably his numbers may be a little bit better over the synthetic turf.
Well, this race is on the all-weather, mile and an eighth on the all-weather surface. Those inside draws, going a mile and an eighth at Woodbine on the synthetic, good, bad, or does it depend on the horse?
Yeah, I think it all depends on the horse. We're going a mile and eighth. I like the fact that we're going to, save ground early. It's not an overly big field, so we should be able to kind of maneuver ourselves off the rail at some point during the race, hopefully. I'd rather save ground going into the first turn than be carried or floated out wide.
All right, Kevin, what do you do for an encore here in 2025 after that Sovereign Award-winning campaign last year?
That's a tough one. Obviously, we're hoping to win the King's Plate again this season. That's a big race on the calendar here at Woodbine. With its history and me being Canadian and Woodbine my home, it means a lot to everybody here that kind of owns, trains, or works with horses in Canada. So that's obviously a big reason. Winning the Breeders' Cup last season with Moira and getting a taste of that, gives you a hunger to get back there again for more. So we're hoping to find something that kind of take us that direction as well. It'd be nice to get back to Del Mar.
How much do you miss seeing Moira standing in her stall in your barn?
Most definitely. Horses like her are very hard to replace. And, just walking by her stall, there's a horse in there that we're hoping that I'd be able to fill her shoes and, kind of maybe follow suit. But, they're irreplaceable horses. So, glad to have been part of her life and for her to kind of fall into my hands. And, it was a great ride and never forget.
Who has her stall now?
2-year-old filly by Uncle Mo, owned by some of the same ownership group actually as Moira. So, hopefully she turns out to be the quality that we're hoping.
Hope springs eternal when you have a good 2-year-old in the barn, and it sounds like you do, Kevin. I'm sure he's not the only. Colt, right? You said Colt?
That's a filly. She is
a filly. Okay, hopefully she's not the only good 2-year-old that you have in your barn, my friend. I'm sure she's not. And we're looking forward to getting up there for the King's Plate. We'll be there all weekend long, and I'll make sure I stop by and say hello.
Sounds good. Looking forward to seeing you.
All right, bud. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Kevin Attard here on HRRN, one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet, and looking forward to seeing him when we get up there. But, yeah, he's loaded again today. You heard him talk about Mancetti in the Marine Stakes, one of his King's Plate hopefuls. Who knows? He's a bit of a puzzler, even for Kevin Attard. We'll see if he responds to the stretch out coming up later today. And then the Champion Fashionably Fab and Ballast Out, owned by Mike Rapoli, by the way. So not only is he training for Windstar, he's training for Mike Rapoli. And then he has Caitlin, her greatness, in the Nassau. And she is really the flag bearer right now. So we'll see how that all comes together for Kevin this afternoon. And make sure you're betting those races at Woodbine. We've been celebrating Woodbine Week on the network all week long. And earlier in the show, you heard from Jeff Bratt, the handicapper at Woodbine, walking through all of the big races with Bobby Newman. So if you missed that conversation, you can check it out on our podcast. It'll be available for you after we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern. But this is the first of 5 Woodbine weeks we're going to bring your way over the course of the summer and the fall. And we want to say thank you to the wonderful folks at Woodbine for all of their support, and looking forward to seeing everyone when we get up there in August for the King's Plate. All right, coming up next, I'll take a look at a few historical dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend, and I'll get you set for what's coming up in hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
The 27th Annual Claiming Crown is back at Churchill Downs November 15th, and you can punch your ticket on Claiming Crown Showcase Day, Thursday, August 21st at Colonial Downs, offering automatic entry into the Claiming Crown for the top 2 finishers in each division. In addition, the winner of each dedicated race on Showcase Day will receive a travel stipend up to $2,000, provided they start in the Claiming Crown in November. Don't miss your chance. Claiming Crown Showcase Day at Colonial Downs is Thursday, August 21st.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolatey candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle, and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Did you know? VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served.
I would tell anybody who is interested in getting a VA loan to just do it.
For me, the best thing about the VA loan was the simplicity of it. I was expecting, government paperwork, it was going to go on forever, and it just wasn't.
Since the down payment for a VA loan is minimal, we were able to purchase this home and then use the money that we were going to use as a down to actually fix up the home.
And the only way we could do that was because the nest egg that we had saved for the down payment, we didn't have to use because we went the VA route.
This is a wonderful benefit that veterans can take advantage of.
In the military, we make a lot of sacrifices. We're away from our family a lot. And with the VA loan, it's a way that it makes it easier for us to get a home.
To learn more about VA home loans, visit va.gov/home loans.
Hey, this is Bobby Newman. Join me every Friday afternoon to dive deep into handicapping the races. We'll cover the live action from some of the biggest tracks in the country, talk to some of the major players in the game, and hopefully make a little money along the way. You can also call the show to share your opinions, ask a question or two, or maybe just vent about some bad beats. It's Betting with Bobby every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, online channel 999, or streaming live at horseracingradio.net.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Remember to watch America's Day at the Races every Thursday through Sunday for coverage from Belmont at the Big A and throughout the East Coast. Join Andy Serling, Maggie Wolfendale, and the Fox team for live racing plus expert picks and analysis. You can visit NYRA.com/TV for a complete schedule. Well, time to take a look at a few dates in racing history before I get you to hour number 3. And we kick it off by saying happy anniversary to the kid, Stevie Cawthon, who on June 28th, 1977, won his first race as a journeyman jockey. Matter of fact, he won his first 3 mounts at Belmont Park. So happy anniversary to Stevie Cawthon. June 28th, 1989, Arlington International. Arlington Heights is where Arlington International was. Arlington International Racecourse opened in Arlington Heights, Illinois. It had been rebuilt after a fire destroyed the old facility on July 31st, 1985, and it's hard to believe it's been nearly 4 years since Arlington closed its doors for good, isn't it? Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but hard to believe. June 29th, 1968, tomorrow, happy anniversary to jockey Eddie Delahousse, who won his first race at Evangeline Downs aboard Brown Shill. Couple more jockey anniversaries for you pertaining to tomorrow. June 29th, 1969, jockey Ray Sabile won his first race as a jockey at Evangeline Downs. And then June 29th, 1983, jockey Angel Cordero Jr. wasn't his first win. It was win number 5,000 that day aboard Another Roger in the 9th race at Belmont Park. He was the fourth rider at that time behind John Logden, Bill Shoemaker, and Lafitte Pinkai Jr. to hit the 5,000 win mark. And those are historical dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend. I'll give you more next Saturday morning as we celebrate 4th of July weekend here on HRRN. Looking forward to that. And, of course, the 4th of July Racing Festival coming up at Saratoga next weekend. Plenty to come in hour number 3, including Joe Kristufek with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker with his Stroll Through Racing History will continue to celebrate Woodbine Week here on the network as Kurt has a story about Regal Embrace, who won the Queen's Plate in his 6th start after not racing as a 2-year-old. It's a really interesting story, and he was a fascinating horse. So you'll stay tuned for that at 10:20. And at 10:30, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin, I Ask, They Answer. We pay tribute to the career of Hall of Famer D. Wayne Lucas and talk about some of the other hot topics in the sport today. Been a busy show. Plenty more to come in hour number 3. If your local station is leaving us, you can listen to the third hour of the program nationwide right here on Sirius XM satellite radio. You can listen on ESPN Radio in Louisville, and you can tune in streaming worldwide at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum is coming up next, right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk. Today's edition of the Equine Forum has been pre-recorded. Please excuse any references to horses who may have scratched from today's races.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Gunrunner by the 8th pole. Stanford battles on. Breaking Lucky does to his honorable duty and Hawakam down inside, but there's 100 yards left. And Gunrunner with gusto in the Stephen Foster.
But Rachel Alexandra is sticking her tongue out at the rivals, and she's coming now, clear by 6 lengths, a 16th from the wire. She's right, royal and regal. The Queen of Churchill Downs, Rachel, is back.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
March to the arches, slicing through the pack. Hot Springs down the center of the course with admission office. Deep inside the final furlong. Parlor strikes the lead. All right, squeezes through down inside. On the outside, March to the arch. Admission office, driving finish. Here's the wire. March to the arch got up to do it.
Silent Poet is back. Silent Poet dashing on. Down the outside, Admiralty Pier with a launch from last position. Silent Poet in front. Admiralty Pier coming at the rate of knots as well. Silent Poet in front. Admiralty Pier out the ground, but Silent Poet has won the Highlander Stakes.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Well, if you like racing and you like star power and you want lucrative graded stakes with Breeders' Cup bids on the line, you're going to love this weekend at Churchill Downs and at Woodbine. Been talking about all of that over the first 2 hours of the program. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, welcoming you back to hour number 3. If you missed any portion of the first 2 hours, boy, have you missed a lot. Talk about star power. Trainer Ken McPeek was here. Florent Geroux was here. You heard from trainer Kevin Attard, Boyd Browning Jr., Jeff Bratt, talking with Bobby Newman, handicapping the big races up at Woodbine this afternoon. We have covered a lot of ground and going to continue to do so here in hour number 3 as Joe Kristufek joins me momentarily for this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, and at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim. Don't forget, if you missed any portion of the show, any of the conversations I just mentioned, you can check out the podcast after I finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern on our website, horseracingradio.net, and any podcast platform. Just type in Horse Racing Radio Network and follow along with us. Poll question this morning, and I'm going to hit Joe Kristufek up with this as well in just a moment. Poll question: which morning line favorite do you trust most to deliver a winning effort later today at Churchill Downs? Is it Thorpedo Anna in the Fleur de Lis, Booth in the Kelly's Landing, Mercante in the Wise Dan, or Sierra Leone in the Stephen Foster? Let's find out what Joe thinks as we welcome him to this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe, who you taking?
I wouldn't bet her to win based on the expected price, but of the choices you've given me, Mike, considering I'm picking against the other ones, I'll go with Thorpedo Anna.
A great answer. She is going to be a popular choice, no doubt. We'll see if she can get back to her winning ways. Joe, we're going to see if you can continue your winning ways here on the TwinSpires Triple Play. You've selected 3 races for our listeners this morning. We're going to dive right into them. Race number 3, race 11, race 12, all at Churchill Downs. The third race is a 1 1/8 on the main track. It's an allowance optional claimer, purse of $127,000. Who'd you see in this one, my friend? Who do you like?
Yeah, number 6, Fountain Lake, Mike, is really coming into his own. He won Gate to Wire 2 starts ago in the slop, and I was still a little bit skeptical, although I did pick him to win that day, and he rewarded me kindly at 8-1. Showed another dimension in his most recent start where he lunged at the gate and had to come from way out of it, but he was flying late behind Hypnus over a fast track on June the 1st. Hypnus was kind of sort of borderline on the Triple Crown Trail earlier this year for Ken McPeek. He was the 6-5 favorite, and Fountain Lake gave him a run for his money at 24-1. So I believe this horse has seriously legitimized himself in his last 3 races. He's 3-1 in the morning line. He's proven over the 9 furlong distance, and we're going to lean on him in race number 3.
Yeah, why not? And you get a decent price. Do you think we get that 3-1 morning line?
Yeah, I think we will, because I think there are a couple of other bettable horses in here. Shangri-La Road, who I do respect, along with Excite. They are 5-2 and 2-1 respectively. So I think, I think we'll get every bit of the 3-1. I don't see it, if it does go lower, going much lower than that.
It seems like when you look at the past performances of your top pick, Fountain Lake, he's been signaling that win and a big effort for a while now, because he's been knocking on the door for a few starts. Then he breaks through in that maiden win last time out, and then he mentioned the completely different running style last time out in his allowance runner-up effort. So this is a horse that has been letting us know he's ready to roll for a while.
No, and like I said, he legitimized himself, because this is a former $100,000 claimer, and he's worth a heck of a lot more than that right now based on the way he's running and the purse structure here in Kentucky for John Ortiz, and Julian Leperou's ridden him in his last 3 starts and appears to be a very good fit.
3-1 on the morning line for Joe's top pick in race number 3. That is number 6, Fountain Lake. Joe, the second race you've chosen, well, it's a pretty good one. It's the Grade 1 Stephen Foster, 1 1/8 on the main track. Race 11, 6:03 Eastern is the post. And I talked about this with Florent Geroux and Kenny McPeek earlier in the show. This is a very, very salty renewal of the Stephen Foster.
I've been here since 2015, and I think it's the strongest race top to bottom that we've seen. We got a little bit of everything. We got a lot of intrigue with the 1-2 finishers from Kentucky Derby 150 and Mystik Dan coming off a win, and Sierra Leone coming off a little bit of a disappointment earlier this winter at Fairgrounds, but he was pace compromised when Touch Upon a Star, the Louisiana-bred king, went Gate to Wire. First Mission, Mike, that's who I like here. He does not have a Grade 1 on his resume yet. He's got a couple of Grade 2 victories, but I really like the way Brad Cox has approached the running of the Stephen Foster with this horse. He did win the Grade 2 Oaklawn Handicap back in April. He's been training steadily ever since. Gets Luis Saez in the saddle. Luis has had success aboard him in the past. Tactical speed, inside draw, has no problem running inside of horses, and I think he'll get that advantageous pocket trip. I think this is First Mission's next step forward in his career. He gets that elusive Grade 1, and I think the price will be squaring up, because this race, as you mentioned, has a lot of contenders that people can gravitate towards.
Yeah, I think so too. And when Florent joined me right around 9 o'clock Eastern this morning, we talked about the fact that he's ridden First Mission, and of course he's ridden Hit Show, who he'll ride again in the Stephen Foster. And I asked him about how that decision is made in this case. Did Brad come to him and say, hey, I want you on Hit Show, or did he say, hey, I want to be aboard Hit Show? How does that work? And he said, well, this was a pretty easy one. Hit Show won the Dubai World Cup, maybe one of the biggest wins of my entire career last time out, and First Mission's yet to win a Grade 1. So he said there wasn't much decision on his part, but you're making the decision to go with the other Brad Cox, if you will, in First Mission.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, were surprised that Hit Show was able to win the Dubai World Cup given his resume coming in. He's been a win machine, but Brad's been taking a lot easier spots with Hit Show than he has with First Mission, and it's not easy to close at Meydan. I mean, he's a legitimate individual who is about as consistent as they come. I just think from a tactical speed perspective, First Mission with that likely ground-saving trip is maybe a little bit higher on my list than Hit Show going into this race.
I'm kind of shocked you didn't go with Sierra Leone. He's been your boy.
Yeah, he has. I saw him run at Fairgrounds, and obviously he's got that major excuse for trying to close into a controlled pace of a very good racehorse and touch upon a star. Coming off the bench, he's only run once this year. I think we're going to see the best of Sierra Leone a couple months down the line.
Flo said outside of Hit Show he thinks Mindframe is the horse to beat. What do you do with Mindframe?
Yeah, I mean, talk about versatility. I mean, this is a horse that's won, from 7 furlongs upwards of a mile and an eighth. He won one of the most exciting races, Kentucky Derby week, when he took the Grade 1 Churchill Downs over 7 furlongs of sloppy track. He's got tractable speed going 2 turns. And, I mean, yeah, you could make a case for him. You could make a case for more than half the field, I think. It's just that good of an addition of the Stephen Foster. And, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Mindframe beat me. I think there'll be comparable prices. They are in the morning line, but I think First Mission will offer just a little bit more value.
It's going to be a fun race to watch, as will the race following it. Race number 12, the final of the 12 races on the program later today. It's the American Derby, purse of $250,000, mile and a 16th on the grass, post time 6:32 Eastern. Joe, you've chosen this race as the final leg of the TwinSpires triple play. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like the whole field, quite honestly. So when that's the case, you got to go price shopping, and I think I reeled in a pretty big fish here in Minaret Station, who's going to be completely overlooked, despite the fact that he won his last year races as a 2-year-old, including the Grade 2 Bourbon when he was over 30-1, and he ran like a monster that particular day. I don't often upgrade winning performances, but I did in this case. He trained on the Churchill Downs turf course. Will Walden has proven himself to be a very similar type trainer to his father, Elliott, when he trained back in the day. Very good at bringing a horse back off of a layoff. Very good developing young horses. There are 6 or 7 different horses that can win this race. Absolutely love it. Churchill Downs is offering an all-turf pick 3 on Saturday and also on Sunday. $3 minimum, low 15% takeout. This is going to be the final race of the day and obviously the final race of that all-turf pick 3. And I'm going to use a few of them, but I'm going to definitely use Minaret Station, who I think will fly under the radar because he has not run here in 2025.
And bombs away, 15-1 morning line on Joe's top pick, Minaret Station, in the finale, race number 12. Let's recap. Joe, in race 3, you'll take number 6, Fountain Lake, at 3-1. Race 11, the Stephen Foster, you'll go with number 1, First Mission, at 4-1 on the morning line. And in race 12, number 5, Minaret Station, at 15-1 to win the American Derby. What else is happening at TwinSpires this weekend, my friend?
Money back offer today, Saturday, races 1, 6, and 11. Again, if you bet a horse to win, they run second or third. You get up to $10 back. Make sure you opt in. And then today on the tournament scene, Mike, the Stephen Foster betting challenge, a $3,000 buy-in. A lot of people have already qualified through the feeders into the qualifiers for this very prestigious tournament. $3,000 entry fee, $2,000 bankroll. We've got entries on the line for the BCBC, the NHC, and next year's Kentucky Derby betting challenge, not to mention the prize money. So best of luck to everybody that's participating in the Stephen Foster betting challenge, courtesy of TwinSpires.
Great stuff, Joe. Enjoy the weekend. Good luck at the windows.
All right. Thanks, my man. Have a good day, Mike.
You got it, Joe Kristufek here with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Don't forget you can play those 3 races and all the races you're going to bet this weekend and every weekend with TwinSpires. And take advantage of those contests, too. They have done a fantastic job with the TwinSpires contest platform, and that's one that you want to take advantage of later today as well. The answer to the impossible trivia question comes up toward the end of the program, 10:55 Eastern. And Lee Delapina came up with a good one for you here this morning. I didn't want to ask it when Joe was still on the line. I thought about it, but I have a feeling Joe might know the answer. He's Chicago through and through. So I thought he might know this one. In what year was the Arlington Million run at Woodbine, and who was the winner that year? And I told you earlier, I can come up with the year. I still haven't come up with the winner yet. Lee's got me stumped right now. I'm going to have to give that a little more thought. No Googling. I was tempted to Google it, but I'm not going to. I'll see if I can come up with it later in the show. But it's a good question. In what year was the Arlington Million run at Woodbine, and who was the winner that year? If you get it right, kudos to you. The answer comes your way, 10:55 Eastern. Plenty more to get to before we get to that point, though. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History, his story about Regal Embrace, is on deck in the next segment. And then Dale and Tim, I ask, they answer. They will join me 10:30 Eastern, and looking forward to that visit because we will remember the career and pay tribute to the career of the great D. Wayne Lucas. Stay tuned for that. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Scott Mallory is offering a trio of exciting prospects at the Fasig-Tipton July Sale of selected yearlings on July 8th. Hip 11 out of a young Blame mare by freshman sire Mo Donegal, a son of super sire Uncle Mo. Hip 55 out of a winner-producing Animal Kingdom mare by Grade 1 winning freshman sire Drain the Clock, whose weanlings averaged 5 times the stud fee. And Hip 89 out of a multiple stakes winning mare by exciting multiple Grade 1 winning freshman sire Cyberknife, who set a new track record in the Haskell. Visit the Scott Mallory consignment in Barn 8 at Fasig-Tipton July.
Live racing for the 25-day Ellis Park meeting begins Thursday, July 3rd and runs through Saturday, August 24th, with a record $4 million in stakes purses led by 7 stakes across Kentucky Downs preview weekend on August 2nd and 3rd, and 6 stakes on Sunday, August 10th, featuring the $300,000 Ellis Park Derby and the $200,000 Groupie Doll. Connections with Kentucky-bred horses will be competing for $100,000 maiden special weight purses and allowances up to $108,000, and horse players will have plenty of action throughout the summer. For a full list of events, visit EllisParkOwensboroGaming.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. He is memorable for his battles with Canadian champion Overskate in the late 1970s. And while he lost most of those confrontations, he won the one which arguably counted most, the Queen's Plate at Woodbine. His name was Regal Embrace. Foaled on May 10th, 1975 at Winfield's farm of breeder E.P. Taylor in Oshawa, Ontario, Regal Embrace was a bay colt by Vice Regent out of Close Embrace by Nintego. His paternal grandsire was Canadian superhorse Northern Dancer, but Regal Embrace bore little resemblance to his famous ancestor. While Northern Dancer was a small horse measuring 15.1 hands, Regal Embrace was large, nondescript, and ungainly. Stable hands called him the Moose, and he possessed monstrous ankles which not only were unsightly, but would plague him throughout his career with soreness. Unable to find a buyer at $15,000 when the colt was a yearling, Taylor decided to keep Regal Embrace and send him to trainer Mac Benson. Despite the ankle issues, Benson believed the colt had potential and resolved that he and his staff would manage accordingly. That was why Regal Embrace never raced as a juvenile. Instead, after spending the winter at Garden State Park, Regal Embrace made his debut at Greenwood Raceway in Toronto as a 3-year-old on April 27, 1978. Sent to the post at odds of 10-1 in a maiden special weight, the giant colt won the 4.5 furlong event under jockey Jim Walford in track record time of 51 4/5 seconds. It has taken him a long time to come to hand, Benson noted, but he has trained exceptionally well. 1 week later, Regal Embrace faced Allowance Company at Woodbine at 6 furlongs, and he responded with a 16-length victory, which included a final quarter mile in 23 seconds flat. Following that performance, he dropped from 150-1 in the future book for the Queen's Plate to odds of 40-1. The latter would still prove to be a generous price. On May 18th, Regal Embrace upped his record to 3 for 3 with an allowance score at Woodbine at 7 furlongs. But in his next outing on June 3rd, again at Woodbine and again in Allowance Company, Regal Embrace suffered a loss by a head as the 1-9 favorite to former claimer Cool Victor at 1 mile and a 16th. Many observers saw that race as the inevitable reality check, which proved all of the talk about the Queen's Plate had been premature. But Benson believed the opposite, later saying that the race actually gave Regal Embrace the conditioning he needed for the upcoming Classic. On June 17th, Regal Embrace stretched to 1 1/8 miles in allowance company at Woodbine and, with Sandy Hawley in the irons, scored what at least one turf rider called an impressive victory. And the turf rider wasn't the only one who was impressed. Hawley had been considering no fewer than 4 horses for his mount in the Queen's Plate, but as of June 17th, his mind was made up. He would ride Regal Embrace. Still, as the big day approached, the critics pointed to the fact Regal Embrace had never carried more than 119 pounds in any of his 5 career starts, and he had never been in a stakes race. The Queen's Plate would demand that he carry 126 pounds over a distance of 1.25 miles. And for the first time in his career, he would have to face a pint-sized chestnut colt named Overskate. Canada's champion juvenile of 1977, Overskate had a towering reputation despite his small size. As a result, he would go to the post as the 7-5 favorite at Woodbine for the 119th running of the Queen's Plate, while Regal Embrace would be the second choice at odds of 5-2. The date was June 24th, 1978. In the United States, a pair of colts named Affirmed and Alidar had already concluded a fierce Triple Crown rivalry, which saw Affirmed prevail in each showdown. And at Woodbine, with the Queen's Plate set to kick off the Canadian Triple Crown, racing fans thought a similar rivalry might be unfolding. Regal Embrace held off Overskate by a neck that day and equaled the stakes record to win the Queen's Plate, giving E.P. Taylor his first win in 14 years as an owner in Canada's premier event. His last winner prior to that, in 1964, had been none other than Northern Dancer. With that win, Regal Embrace earned $107,000. Not bad, someone noted, for a colt which no one wanted as a yearling when the asking price was $15,000. But a Triple Crown showdown never materialized, at least not in the way many folks had hoped or envisioned. Overskate asserted himself over the course of the summer, winning the second jewel on August 26 in the Prince of Wales Stakes at 1.5 miles on the turf at Fort Erie. Overskate won by 9 lengths that day, while Regal Embrace finished 4th. Returning to Woodbine on September 30th for the final leg of the Triple Crown, the Breeders' Stakes, again at 1.5 miles on the turf, Overskate went gate to wire for the victory, while Regal Embrace faded to 5th in what would be his final career start. He later enjoyed modest success as a stallion, siring 9 stakes winners from 9 crops. In honor of Woodbine Week here on HRRN, we remember Regal Embrace, conqueror of Overskate on that fateful day, winning the Queen's Plate at Woodbine some 47 years ago this month. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Nobody weaves a story together like Kurt Becker. My thanks to Kurt for that story. If you missed any of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments, check out the Stroll Through Racing History page on our website, horseracingradio.net, and you can listen to all of those shows. And don't forget, too, about our weekly Brisnet.com call-in show, 6 to 7 Eastern, every Thursday with Bobby Newman and James Scully. It is your chance to call in and talk racing with our experts. Every Thursday, 6 to 7 Eastern, here on HRRN. Coming up next, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Monmouth Park's summer season rolls on with live racing action starting at 12:50 every weekend. Monmouth's 2025 season featured increased total handle for the fourth straight year. The biggest pools means bigger payouts. New for 2025, Monmouth introduces a 50-cent middle pick 5, joining the win early pick 5 on the wagering menu. With a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Attending on site, lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
His sire is one of the most exciting young stallions in the world. His dam has become one of the most important brood mares in the industry. And on the first Saturday in May, his genetic brilliance shined brightest on racing's biggest stage.
They come into the final 16, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
Mage, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
This is Woodbine Week on HRRN.
World-class thoroughbred racing continues with the Canada Day Racing Festival this Saturday at Woodbine. First post, 1:05 p.m. Join us as we celebrate Canada Day with 5 graded races and a $100,000 guaranteed early pick 5. Racing continues every Thursday through Sunday as we lead up to the $1 million classics with the King's Plate on Saturday, August 16th and the Woodbine Mile on Saturday, August 13th. For more information on racing at Woodbine, visit woodbine.com.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
Thorpedo Anna still cruising along here, and she's starting to get away from Raging Sea as they come to the top of the stretch in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and Thorpedo Anna begins to move away. 1 furlong to go. She's in front by 2. Raging Sea still there, trying to fight for second, then Candied in third, but this brilliant filly's going to take them all the way. Thorpedo Anna, what a year for her. She won it by 3 over Raging Sea, and then it was Candied and Elise Verite.
That's Larry Colmus with a call of last year's Breeders' Cup Distaff, won by Thorpedo Anna, the reigning horse of the year, and she can punch her ticket to this year's Distaff with a win in today's Fleur de Lis. But with 2 of her 3 career losses coming at Churchill Downs, should she be on upset alert again this afternoon? And it was a historic week for jockey Corey Lannery, moving into second place on the all-time wins list at Churchill Downs with more than 5,100 career victories to his credit. Has Corey done enough to earn a plaque in horse racing's Hall of Fame? We'll discuss that topic here this morning. Plus, we pay tribute to one of the best to ever do it, the coach, Hall of Famer D. Wayne Lucas. All of that and much, much more is straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf rider Tim Wilkin, and all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. And it all starts just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
Well, Tim Wilkin is here. We are awaiting Dale Romans to join us here on the program. You know, when you're the 2-time winner of the Showdown competition that we host here, I guess you can show up to the program whenever you want. Timmy, we're going to do that draft again next week for another Showdown competition. And this is really Dale making a statement here this morning, I think.
I just think he forgot to answer his phone.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Well, I know he's not perusing past performances, trying to get ahead, a leg up on our draft, because he doesn't do that. Dale he goes to the beat of his own drummer, as we all know.
You know what he's done the past couple of competitions, and it served him well, is he started to go to other trainers on the grounds at Saratoga and at Churchill Downs, and he started to ask them about their young horses coming up to see if they had a potential star in the barn. And those are the horses he's been drafting that have put him over the top.
I don't think we should do that. I think that we should just use name horses.
Only name horses. Horses we've heard of.
And our listeners have heard of. I think that's the best way to do it, but hey, who am I to make the rules? This This is your game. I'm just living it, boss.
Well, the competition comes up beginning next week. 4th of July weekend is when we'll kick it off, and that's been so much fun for a lot of our listeners to follow along over the past few seasons. It'll run all the way through the Breeders' Cup in November. So it's a long – last year I think we started it after Saratoga or maybe with Labor Day weekend or somewhere around there, but we're going to start it slightly earlier.
I think we started in Saratoga because I remember I lost mind frame after the Haskell.
That's right. That's right.
So we did go through the whole summer, I believe.
So this isn't that much longer.
No, and it's. I think I lost a couple horses to injury last year, so I think I ended up with only 3 going into it. But it's always fun, and I think a lot of people really get a kick out of it. I know I do.
We are going to talk about Saratoga here on the show this morning, but we're going to begin by remembering D. Wayne Lukas and celebrating his career here this morning. We'll do that in just a couple of moments. We're going to talk about Thorpedo Anna, the horse of the year who comes back at Churchill. We mentioned, should she be on upset alert, considering 2 of her 3 losses have come at Churchill Downs? And then jockey Corey Lanerie, and this is going to be great to have Dale with us for this segment because Corey Lanerie recorded win number 1232 at Churchill, equaling Calvin Burrell earlier this week. He did it aboard a Dale Romans trainee. So we will do that on the program here this morning, including several other topics. Dale is indeed with us now. Dale, happy to have you aboard, brother.
Hey, it's good to be back on with you. Y'all started a little bit early without me.
We did, but we were bragging about your prowess in the showdown competition.
Yeah. What
I don't know if
prowess in the
how quickly we forget.
Yeah.
Our fantasy contest.
Go down again.
We weren't bragging.
I was bragging a little bit.
All right. And did anybody talk about how humble I am about it, too?
Humble? Oh, my goodness. Yes. I don't know about that. I thought I heard you had a parade every day for a week down there.
Wait till the three-peat happens.
You might have to rent out Broadway in Saratoga.
Mm-hmm.
Dale's personal Triple Crown quest.
Exactly.
All right, well, guys, let's jump into the first topic because at the time we are recording this segment here, as far as we are aware, D. Wayne Lukas is still receiving medical care. We wish the best for him, and our thoughts are most certainly with his friends and with his family. The news broke on Sunday afternoon when it was announced that Hall of Famer D. Wayne Lukas was hospitalized and he would not return to racing. The 89-year-old has been battling a severe infection and it's worsened his condition. All of his horses had now been transferred to his longtime assistant, Sebastian Nickel, who goes by Bass. Guys, what words best describe the coach's impact on our sport, both on and off the track? Dale, let's start with you.
Well, first of all, he changed an entire industry. And talking to Steve Asmussen the other day, Steve was saying he couldn't have existed before Wayne. Wayne blazed the trail for a major stable to have quality horses all the way across the country. And what he's done for all of us has come up behind him. I taped something the other day, and I was telling him that, in such a competitive industry, most people are trying to push you down. Wayne's reaching down trying to pull you up, and it didn't matter who you were with. He's got his legacy of the people who worked for him. But it wasn't even those. I was one of them, and I didn't work for him. And all the things that I could go the whole show talking about things he did for me that, that people don't know behind the scenes, what he's done to help everybody. And it's just it's a major loss to the game. The world's a better place with Wayne Lukas in it.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, you could use all different kinds of words to describe the coach. Obsessed, resilient, optimistic, flashy, an innovator. He's a guy that, I've been covering him probably for like 40 years, and I remember when I first started covering him, I felt like the Cowardly Lion going in to see the Wizard of Oz. It was almost terrifying because here was this bigger-than-life figure in horse racing who had been so successful. And, he could be an intimidating guy. And as time went on, he almost. I said this to him many times. I said it's almost like you're everybody's grandfather now. Everybody, and I've considered myself one of the lucky ones that was always welcome in his office at Saratoga or Pimlico during Preakness week, standing outside as he held court down at Parks for the Pennsylvania Derby last year. Sat on a hay bale outside his office and shot the breeze with him for probably like 45 minutes. It's just a monumental loss that he's not training horses anymore, and it's going to feel really, really weird not seeing him on the pony every morning at Saratoga. It's just, he did it his way. He always did it his way, and and it's sad that he's at the finish line for his career now.
You talk about a life well lived. None of them were better lived than Wayne Lukas.
Oh, no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And he was always, his mind is still sharp as a tack. I mean, even down to Preakness. He was talking about how he was excited about his 2-year-olds for this year. I mean, he was always looking ahead. And, the thing that will stick out to me is he always had time for the kids. Just even, the fact that he always would bring them into the winner's circle when he won a race. But down at Pimlico on the Sunday he came in, he had just gotten in there, and Mike Kane and I were working for the Pimlico Preakness Notes team. We went down to see him, and we were shooting the breeze with him. And there was a family just hovering around, a mother and father and 2 little kids. And they came over and humbly asked if they could just have their picture taken with the kids with Wayne. He pulled them right in, sat them on the bench with them, gave them all the time they wanted. And that's a picture that they'll have for, then their parents are horse fans too. And I'm sure these kids are now too, are fans now because of this. He was just that kind of guy.
Yeah,
and he could train a little bit too.
He could train a little bit. When you hear the term gets it, right? D. Wayne Lukas was a guy that got it. He knew his stature in the sport of thoroughbred racing, and he wanted to give back, and he just got it. And I remember 2 of my most memorable moments on radio in my entire career was, number one, getting a chance to spend an hour with Wayne in his barn at Saratoga with Jude Feld, who was co-hosting my Trainer Talk program with me at that time, and we talked about so many different things with Wayne, looked back on his career. And then having a chance to sit down with he and Bob Baffert together before one of the Preakness Stakes years ago to talk about their relationship and friendship and camaraderie and the success that they both had in that race. Those are 2 moments that I am never, ever, ever going to forget. And, guys, Tom in St. Louis, Shane in North Carolina both sent us questions this week, and both of them pertain to D. Wayne Lukas. Shane wants to know if you were to pick a Mount Rushmore of D. Wayne Lukas trained horses. He won so many big races. Which Lukas horses are going to be on that Mount Rushmore? Timmy, I'll hit you up with it first. We didn't prepare for this question, but I think it's a great question.
Wow. I mean, that's so hard because, Wayne had 3 horses of the year. He had 26 Eclipse champs. I think I'd have to put Winning Colors on there. Filly that won the 88 Derby. I think Lady's Secret would have to be on there. Oh, boy. Thunder Gulch.
Yeah.
Was, what a fantastic training job he did with him. Florida Derby, Kentucky Derby, Belmont, Travers, and then in between winning the Belmont and the Travers, he won the swaps out in California. So I put Thunder Gulch up there. And, boy, it's hard just to say 4. There's just so many of them. Oh, boy.
Serena's Song.
Serena's Song's another one.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd put Criminal Type in there, too. He had a lot of them.
Yeah. Dale, what do you think?
Criminal Type, Land of Loose, Grand Canyon, Winning Colors, Lady's Secret.
Yeah, Grand Canyon was a phenomenal race.
Grand Canyon, Land of Loose, a lot of people won't remember, but they were special 2-year-olds, and both of them had bad endings. But Grand Canyon, Wayne says, is one of the best he ever trained.
Yeah.
What do you think his greatest training feat was? Winning colors?
Maybe winning colors.
Yeah.
Winning colors to win a Derby. It's only 3 fillies have ever done it. She's the last one. I would have to think you would have to rank that one way up there. But he's got so many things. That he told me one time I ran a maiden in the Belmont, Nolan's Cat, and everybody was kind of down on me about it. But I knew he'd get the distance, and he ran third. Wayne and I were sitting on coolers flying in a cargo plane with the horses up to Belmont. He told me, he said, don't ever listen to the press. He says, he said, I've made millions of dollars running horses where they said I didn't belong. And we ran third, and it was a big deal, and we made a lot of money for Ken on the stallion and the mares and sisters and brothers, and the water rose, all the boats rose and went flying back. And we and Wayne sitting in a cargo plane on a cooler. He said, I told you don't listen to the press.
And the thing about his Triple Crown horses, he had 15 Triple Crown race wins. He only had 2 favorites that won. Thunder Gulch in the 95 Belmont and Timber Country in the 95 Preakness. Wayne always, and he had some bombs in there. The likes of Thunder Gulch won the Derby at 24-1. Charismatic 31-1. I mean, Seize the Gray, Preakness 9-1. He had that quote he always said. He says, "I get paid to spoil dreams," and that was so true. When he was at his best when people counted him out, when they said he couldn't win, and boy, he sure did make a lot of people look foolish.
A lot of people don't know it. I guess anybody hardly knows it, but Hennigan Brothers that made First Saturday in May and do a lot of the press films have been following Wayne around for the last 2 or 3 years, building a documentary about Wayne and interviewed a lot of people. I can't wait to see it come out. I saw the trailer when they were here for the Derby. It's going to be special.
Yeah, I know they did a heck of a lot of work on that. I do know that.
They do such great work. That's going to be spectacular when that comes out. Guys, I thought it'd be interesting to throw this out there to you guys, too. Which iconic figures in other sports would you best compare D. Wayne Lukas to? Timmy, what do you think?
Well, I came up with 2. One is Bobby Knight, who was a great friend of Wayne's. And, Wayne had a background in basketball. He coached high school basketball for a long time. And
Lacrosse, Wisconsin.
And he told stories about if things had gone differently, he could have ended up being the head coach at Michigan. Those were fun stories that he used to tell. And another coach that I put in there is Vince Lombardi.
Yep.
He had that line, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. That would suit Wayne to a T.
Yeah, Vince Lombardi's good. And what about the old UCLA basketball coach?
John Wooden.
John Wooden. You'd have to put him up there with him. Vince Lombardi. I don't know. It's hard to compare him to anybody because he's one of a kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he changed the game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's you could compare to someone like a Willie Mays, who had such a long career and really was good for most of it. Wayne the same way.
Bear Bryant.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Wayne Lukas is going to be missed around the racetrack and being seen on his pony in the mornings. There's no doubt about it. And we want to wish all the best to his longtime assistant, Bass, to see if he can continue with that legacy. But my goodness, big shoes to fill there with the coach, D. Wayne Lukas. All right, guys, that was wonderful. Let's move on to a couple more topics here this morning, including this one that involves Horse of the Year Thorpedo Anna, who is seeking redemption in today's Grade 2 Fleur-de-Lis at Churchill Downs following the worst effort of her career. She is the 3-5 morning line favorite in this afternoon's race, but it is worth noting that 2 of her 3 career losses have come beneath the TwinSpires. Should her connections be on upset alert again today? Tim?
I don't think so. I think you go, and again, I know that once fillies turn at 4, sometimes they lose interest. They don't want to do it anymore. I'm not so sure that's the case with her yet. It might, maybe I'll be saying something different after this race. But in the last one, that was in the La Triomphe. It was only a 3-week turnaround after the Apple Blossom, and she was bumped and squeezed pretty hard on that in the first turn. She's facing a field of 4 others here. None of them have ever won a Grade 1. This is a race she should win. I expect her to win. I just think she has the class edge on this field, and I would be very surprised if she doesn't win this. I don't think she's tailed off to the fact that she's going to be having a performance like she did in the last one. So, no, I don't think she's on upset alert here. I think she rebounds here.
Yeah, I don't think there's much worry about today, but if she does get beat, then they've got serious issues, and they have just a lot of thinking to do about it, because she should gallop in this field, and, she might have been beat here twice, but she also won her biggest race here.
Right.
Yep. Well, we'll see how she fares later today in that Fleur-de-Lis. A win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. She's the defending champion in that division. She has to prove that she is still the Thorpedo Anna that we all believe that she certainly is. All right, guys, here's another topic. Dale, you're going to like this one. On Wednesday, veteran jockey Corey Lannery recorded win number 1232 at Churchill Downs, 1,232. That equals Calvin Burrell for number 2 all-time, behind only Hall of Famer Pat Day. And he did it aboard a horse trained by you, my man. How cool was it to be part of that history?
That's cool, because Corey's is a very close friend of mine. Actually, we're playing golf tonight after the races. But he is a great jockey and as good a person as he is jockey. He's just a good man. He's one of the bright spots on the backside and deserves all the success he gets. I told him last night to do the math and figure out how many of those 1,200 were mine. I want to know. So we'll see if he comes through today with the number.
Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, it's he's had a really solid career in Kentucky. I mean, he's I think he's been the leading jockey at Churchill. I'm going to say 19, 20 times.
I think he's 27.
Is it that many at Churchill?
I believe so, because on his golf balls, he's got the number 27 on them all.
I wonder if that's to all of his.
No, it's Churchill.
That's Churchill. Well,
I believe it's that many meets.
Well, I thought you might know better than I, because you live down there. But the fact that he's year in and year out one of the best jockeys that rides at Churchill Downs, and I don't know if there's anybody that knows that track better than him. It's a testament that he's able to be that consistent year in and year out on that circuit, which is, it's a pretty tough circuit down there.
He's a good jockey, a good person.
I need to start writing something on my golf balls. I think 27 is about the average I lose per round.
Yeah.
So that way maybe I can get them back.
It's not written on there. His friend of ours had them all made for him with it printed. Instead of Titleist 2 or 3 or 4, it's Titleist 27.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is he a pretty good golfer?
He's very good. He has his good and bad days, but the best I've seen him was 78, so it's a pretty good golfer.
Yeah, that's okay.
As much as he plays, he should be a pro, though. That's his only vice he has in life is golf.
Well, he's had to overcome some tragedy in his personal life with the passing of his wife, and he's gone through all of that and raising his daughter, and he's a really good person too. And it's great to see him having this kind of success. Daly has over 5,100 wins, a slew of great stakes, but no wins in Triple Crown or Breeders' Cup races. Does he have a Hall of Fame resume?
My theory on the Hall of Fame, anybody that's lasted that long and accomplished it should be in, but no, he won't make it in. You got to win a lot of Grade 1s, and he's a meat and potato jockey. He's out here every day grinding out, riding a $5,000 horse just like he's ridden the Kentucky Derby. He has been second in it once or twice. But no, he won't make the Hall of Fame, but he's in my Hall of
Fame. If there was a Hall of Fame at Churchill Downs, there's no doubt he'd be in. But to get into
and there is.
I thought there wasn't.
No, we got a Hall of Fame wall. Honors wall, they call it.
Honors wall. But okay. Well, as far as getting into the big one, I don't think he's done enough. It's there's some people that say you got to win big races to get into the Hall of Fame. Corey hasn't won a Triple Crown race. He's been second a couple of times, once for Dale in the Preakness with Cherry Wine. And he's had 3/3 in the Breeders' Cup. But, he ranks 34th in wins, career wins. There's 12 jockeys ahead of him in wins that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Then there's jockeys that are in the Hall of Fame that didn't win Triple Crown race. Ramon Dominguez has never won a Triple Crown race, and Garrett Gomez, but he won 13 Breeders' Cup races. I think Corey he's carved his niche down there at Churchill, but to get in the Hall of Fame, I think you just have to win some of the bigger races. You just have to.
Yeah, he's as solid as they come. And if my math is correct, I just flipped through Equibase very quickly, Timmy, as you were going through those stats. Great research, by the way. I believe he has won 7 Grade 1 races, so it's not like he doesn't win them, but he doesn't have a resume that is overrun with Grade 1 victories. But 7's pretty good.
7's not bad.
Nope. Maybe a win in the Kentucky Derby or a win in a Breeders' Cup race or two will put him over the top with voters. We will see, but congratulations to Corey Lanery and kudos to Dale Romans for giving him a leg up aboard Murphy Girl for that victory earlier this week. All right, guys, it's that time of the show where we say hello to our friend Nick Zito, and you get to tell me if the following statement is right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
Well, Thursday marks the unofficial beginning of the Saratoga meet when the track hosts the inaugural July 4th Racing Festival, which is usually held at Belmont Park. But, of course, as we know, Belmont going through its renovations and rebuilds, so it will be at Saratoga. Guys, what was once the August place to be is now essentially the entire summer place to be. If next weekend turns out to be a banner weekend, I believe NYRA will make 4th of July weekend the opener for Saratoga every year going forward. Am I right or wrong, and would you like that move if it were to happen?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Tim?
Well, I think you're wrong because next year they'll probably do it because Belmont won't be finished, but once they finish brand new Belmont Park, I can't imagine they're going to want to have it just sitting there empty over the 4th of July weekend. No matter what happens up at Saratoga, I think they're going to want to, show off their new facility during the summer over a big holiday weekend, which I get. And I hope they do stay down there because, Saratoga is supposed to be a special place, and it is a special place. But this year now they're going to have 49 days of racing. Back in the old days, there was only 24. And when they went to 40 days, a lot of people thought, well, there might be milking the cow too much here. Because I think that, that they had the Belmont Stakes Festival here, which was a success again. It'll be here next year. But it's not like when the meet opens for the summer, it's not like you got that special feeling because they've already had races up there. And I think when the official opening the week after the 4th of July, I don't think it's going to have the buzz or the anticipation that it has had in the past because they've already been up here. So, I get why they're coming up here. I know why they're coming up here. It makes more sense to be up here than it does at Aqueduct. But I hope once Belmont Park is complete and up and running, they spend the 4th of July down there.
I think you're wrong. I agree. You don't put $500 million into a facility and not use it. I think they'll want to use Belmont under some big days, and it's becoming too much up there, And I think it kind of hurts also with a lot of Kentucky guys used to be able to run here till the end at Churchill, give your horse a break, be ready to run opening day. Even when we go up now, we're not going to run till the 2nd or 3rd week with a lot of these horses because we've been running down here so much.
Yeah, it's a great point. We're going to bring Nick Zito back again next week for Right or Wrong as part of I Ask the Answer, as we do every week. But, guys, we have about 3 minutes left in the show. We have to get to one more topic and then your final point of the week. So Earlier, I visited with Boyd Browning Jr. We talked about the bonus program for trainers, $25K to the trainer that purchases the highest number of yearlings at the upcoming July sale. But Dale, I have a question from one of your listeners here, or one of your followers on Facebook. And Steve wants to know, besides breeding, what are some other factors that you look for when evaluating yearlings?
That's a big process. We only have 3 minutes. It's a good question. We need to talk about that someday. But we do a lot of things. We do pedigree analysis. We do cardiovascular exams with ultrasound. There's shortlisters that go out and cull it down to a smaller group where I can go look at the final horses on the list. And but pedigree and physical analysis is about the most important part. And then we try to put a little bit of science into it with cardiovascular stuff. But there's a lot that goes into shopping a sale.
Yeah, Timmy, I was going to get your thoughts on some of this, but I want to make sure we have enough time for the final point of the week. Steve, that is a great question. We'll get into it more on some shows down the road, but if you have a question for Dale and Tim, you can submit them to us directly, Mike@horseracingradio.net. Post them on Dale's Facebook page if you're following him, and if you're not, you want to make sure you do it. And, of course, you can do that on our social media pages as well. All right, time for the final point of the week. Tim Wilkin, you have the tee, my friend.
Stephen Foster, it's Churchill Downs today. It's a phenomenal race. The likes of Sierra Leone, Mystik Dan, Hit Show, Mind Frame, Skippy Longstockings. 6 of the 7 horses are millionaires, and there's also a horse in there named Ashcroft, who was entered for D. Wayne Lucas. One of the last horses that are in his name, even though Bass Nichols will saddle the horse. Looking forward to the Stephen Fosters. Maybe we'll get a little more clarity on the older horse division.
Yeah, my final thought is I want to congratulate Churchill on another great meet. It's coming to an end, which is always sad for me. And but look forward to going to Saratoga. But good job in this meet, Churchill Downs.
Dale, Kenny McPeek told me earlier he asked you about getting a tattoo on your arm if you ever win the Kentucky Derby. He said you were one of the trainers that said no.
Yeah, these guys, we could talk a long time about that tattoo, but he needed a better canvas to put it on. Tattoo's fine, the canvas isn't much. You need to start doing some curls.
He said that he didn't know where they'd put it on you because you've lost so much weight.
Yeah, it'd be a lot smaller than it used to be.
Guys, I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We're going to do it all over again next Saturday morning.
All right, thanks. All right. Talk to you later.
All right, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin. I Ask, They Answer, presented every week by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. I'm back with more and the answer to this week's impossible trivia question next. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters need them. We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders!
Learn how you can help first responders by texting BRAVE to 24365.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you heard of radon?
Is that a gas?
Is it something that comes up out the ground or something?
It's like poison gas.
Something dangerous that you're supposed to check on to make sure it's not in your home.
Now it's your turn. Answer true or false. Radon is a radioactive gas. True, radon is a radioactive gas. True or false? The Office of the Surgeon General recommends that all homes be tested for radon. True, your home should be tested.
I didn't know that, no.
True or false, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. True.
True, I didn't know that.
Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Answer true or false. Homes with radon problems can be fixed. True. Homes with radon problems can be fixed.
So what do you do about it? I'm going to dial the number and call.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
If I don't take care of it, nobody else will.
Keep your family safe from radon. Call now.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
Check out the all-new HorseRacingRadio.net. All the same great horse racing radio content in a new, easy-to-use design. Listen to all of our shows streaming live or access the replays anytime. See our schedule, sign up for our newsletter, download our latest podcasts, and so much more. It's all on our website at HorseRacingRadio.net. That's HorseRacingRadio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, a wonderful remembrance of the career of D. Wayne Lukas by Dale and Tim. Some great stories there, too. If you missed it, you can check it out on the podcast after we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern. LT from Louisville emails the show and said, my sister and I went to Dawn at the Downs in 1993. Lukas gave a speech after breakfast. When done, I approached him. My sister said, leave him alone. He reached out and shook our hands, talked about the Kentucky Derby for about 5 minutes, really gained a lot of respect for him that day. I think those echo the sentiments of so many people who got a chance to meet and to spend any kind of time with D. Wayne Lukas over the course of his training career. Well, don't forget that the Blunt Horse June issue includes Sovereignty reigning over journalism in the Belmont Stakes on the July cover of Blood Horse, and that is out now. You can become a subscriber for as little as $59 or purchase a single issue at bloodhorse.com. Time to give you the answer to this week's impossible trivia question, and for that, we check in with Lee Delapina.
Thank you, Mike. In what year was the Arlington Million run at Woodbine, and who was the winner? Well, that was in 1988. Mill Native won the Arlington Million run at Woodbine Racetrack.
Mill Native. That's the name of the horse. I had the year, couldn't get the name of the horse. Well done. I hope you got both ends of that, too. We'll be back with another impossible trivia question next Saturday morning here on the Equine Forum. Want to say thanks to all of our guests who joined me over the course of this 3-hour show here this morning. I hope you really enjoyed it. Plenty of star power on the program, including Ken McPeek, who went down the road to the Breeders' Cup with me in the first hour of the program. Jeff Bratt, the Woodbine handicapper. You heard from jockey Florent Geroux. You heard from trainer Kevin Attard, and from Boyd Browning Jr. looking ahead to the Fasig-Tipton July Sale. Joe Kristufek with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker for this week's Stroll Through Racing History. And Dale and Tim with I Ask, They Answer in the previous segment. If you missed any portion of the show, head back to the website. Check out the podcast whenever you have some time. That's horseracingradio.net. And you can do that, too, on every podcast platform. My thanks to my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studios. To Chauncey for handling all of our social media again this morning. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Enjoy the weekend. Good luck at the races. And, of course, go Steelers.